The CoCo Nation Show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCo Nation Show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCo Nation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoCo Nation Show, episode 327. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Good.
I'm sitting.
We made it through another week.
Yes, you are correct.
Next week, who knows? All right, let's see who we got on here with us today. Starting in the lower right-hand corner, we got Jason, CoCoMan.biz.
Oh, I'm first. How did that happen? Did Marco move around?
No, I flipped the script today.
Oh, you flipped the script. Oh, right. Well, I wasn't quite ready yet. I didn't have my Diet Dr. Pepper yet.
All right, next up we got Kevin Holloway.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. And Bob Emery.
Howdy, everyone.
And back from his trip around the world to wherever it was, Ken Waters.
Infinity and beyond.
I've got my strong coffee, so I'm ready for the news.
All right.
I need a bigger cup.
He who I will catch unaware, Brian Weasler.
Hello, all. Welcome to the show. No, I was waiting for my name here. I just needed to mute there for a second, so I'm ready for you. Bring it on.
All right. Next up, Ron Delvaux.
Hello from the blazing hot area of Arizona. Hello, everybody.
Okay. And Del Curtis Boyle.
Coming from a place that actually is about room temperature right now.
And let's see, top row, yours truly. Hi. Then we got Rick Euland.
Howdy, folks.
And Sloopy Malibu if he's back from getting his smokes. And Mark Overhoser. Oh, and
Mark B, you said you were high?
I'm here.
That I was high?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was saying hi.
Oh, okay.
And last but not least, who snuck in at the last second, Nick Marentes.
Good day, everyone. I just woke up, so I just made it in the door.
Just turned off the alarm, huh?
Don't worry, you can go to bed. You can go back to bed when the news comes on.
Are you still in your pajamas? Are you still in your
Yes.
CoCo pajamas? Yep. So
Yes.
Does your alarm play William Tell Overture by CoCo?
No.
No, his alarm clock plays Waltzing Matilda.
That's it.
Okay, let's see. First up, project updates. Rick, what you got for us today?
Oh, me so soon? Okay, well, I guess last week at the Chaos Communications Camp in Germany, they were playing with CoCo.
Where's the pin? Spotlight, there it is.
They found a problem with the 3v3 bus, and it seemed to work out. This little piece here had gotten broken. So I had to dig out the old shop tools and stick little bitty bodge wires on, but through the magic of being the manufacturer, I know exactly where to put the bodge wires. And checking around, there are places in the 3v3, well, near the regulator, it's noisy as horrible. These little low dropout regulators, really spiky, noisy on the bus.
That's
I
what
didn't know that.
capacitors are for.
Exactly. That's what these big old capacitors are here for, to calm. And you'll notice all of the 3v3 chips have clusters of capacitors around them, where the 5-volt chips never do. They have like one cap, and there's your chip and you're done. So I guess we all learned something. I tested it out though, and that's not a problem. It's actually working just fine. So it turns out it's just where you measure it really counts. But that worked into an update, because since I had the keycap
Is that the ANT program running on there?
this is Life. This is the remote to do a load test. We're actually booting Henry Strickland's net boot, which runs. We aren't running Life on the CoCo. We're running a screen viewer on the CoCo, which manages to get more than 30 frames per second. Of a Linux server running Life in California somewhere.
You're not fooling us. You're bit mining.
Right. And we're going to bit mine everyone's CoCos once we take over. Because
Get off my Gimme X.
Here's how that's going to happen. Here's the newer version. Since I had the GUI out, the KiCad up, I went on and finished the flash RAM version, where we can put Henry's boot ROM on flash RAM and not need to have the STC to do the run at 4 trick on. So I think I made it. I'm going to have to look through it Monday and make sure there's no real problem.
Rick, does that mean that with this new flash ROM, does that mean you could actually just plug this directly into a CoCo, no multi-pack, no STC, and actually boot on and access the net directly?
Exactly so. That's
cool.
That's
the
crazy.
end game. And I was going to have a video. I didn't get it made in the time he's got. EOU, remote bootable. And it's not that slow if you were compare it to old style floppies with the original seek speed and everything. That's about the speed of it over the network from California to Milwaukee. So, I mean, it didn't look so good at the fest, but I'm sure that was more an issue of getting into the fest, the venue, than the actual speed over the internet at random. You know, so.
I would have thought actually the network card would have been faster than a floppy boot.
Well,
that's basically matching drive wire, and that's like serial port speeds.
Well, yeah, but this is from California to Milwaukee over the internet at large. If you run it all over a local machine, yeah. But if all you got your CoCo and a CoCo IO and you're plugging a wire into your AT&T cable router, it's kind of floppy speed for massive downloads.
Can you show us with the mouse where the circuit is that does the real-time clock?
No, because you just run a network time protocol, NTP, and
I know.
Get your time from the network. We have the internet now. We don't need no stinking clock.
Okay.
Okay, because like if I'm trying to remember, like the chip you guys are using there, like it's capable of like megabit speeds, right?
It's a 10100 interface, but it's fast. It's as fast as the CoCo bus can handle. But
well, yeah, because a floppy drive runs about 6K per second, and I know booting off hard drives back in the day was multiple times that.
Well, but you have to keep in mind at this point, we're just dumping ease of use over the network. There's no optimizations at all. There's no
okay. So this is like
planning.
just raw test code,
It's just,
basically.
here come the bytes, folks. Get them.
Okay.
No optimization, no TFM, nothing. It's just
there you go.
But looking promising. So anyway, that's my update. Is
cool.
I think we got. Put us in your thoughts and prayers, because there's a lot of assumptions on this design here, and I think it's right, but we'll know soon.
Cool. I'm looking forward to this.
Cool.
Excellent. And that's me for the week.
Okay. Brian, you ready to go?
You're muted, Brian. Still muted.
Still muted.
There we go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You can hear the sweet mellow tones of my voice. So anyway.
Indeed.
Okay, so first off, I wanted to show this thing here, I was kind of searching for some other stuff and came across another thing in this lot that I acquired, and I thought I would share it with the group here. Let me switch cameras. Whoops, why I keep turning it off all the time? There we go. There. Super sound. Let me stop touching my desk here, and maybe we'll stop getting the shaky cam going on here. I did a search on the archive, and I didn't see anything for super sound out there.
I do remember it from Rainbow ads, but
yeah, I believe this is a CoCo 3
yep.
product.
CoCo 3 only.
Yep. And because it talks about if you have a CoCo 3 that's greater than 128K, you can use the upper banks there for some extra storage there. I just started kind of reading it. I might actually get it together and maybe try to play with it a little bit. It came with the software disk, and it also comes with this cable. There we go. Which I'm assuming just goes right through into the. I'm not sure if this is the cassette. No, this looks like the joystick.
5
or
6.
It's 6 pins.
Joystick. Yeah, it's probably going through the 6-bit analog to digital.
Yep.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep.
And it'll record sound. Basically, it's a sound sampler.
Yep. And I just started reading it. I wanted to show it to the group there, see if anybody was familiar with it, and but I was going to play with it and see if I can't do a little bit of maybe do a live demo or something one of these weekends or something.
I think if I remember correctly, there is a copy of Super Sound Sampler, which was kind of a giveaway disc they used to give away at fests that had samples they'd made with it. So I think that's on the archive, but I don't remember if the actual.
Yeah, I just did a quick search for. I just did a quick search for Super Sound spelled the way that it is there, and I didn't see anything come up. But if there's not, I'll definitely get this archive together and scanned. I'll add to my list of stuff that's quickly piling up. I'm going to need to take a week of vacation and just get all my scanning and everything done that I need to get done.
Yeah, try searching for Super Sound as 2 words because they might have put the space in it when they uploaded it.
Oh, okay, that's possible. I just did a quick search for the show there, but yeah. So
but these were popular. I think was it Hot Cocoa or Rainbow actually did a program you could do. Just type it in and you could record like a P Mode 4 screens where the sound, a couple seconds basically. But this uses CoCo 3 speeds and gets better quality, better fidelity.
Okay.
And much larger because, like you said, it goes up to the 512K. I don't know if they ever patched it for the 1 and 2 meg machines. That'd be interesting.
But it goes through all the different menu options that you have and what they do. And then it talks about adding sounds to your programs, and I guess a little sample program that you can use here, and some of the addresses that you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll play around with that and see. Maybe I can do a little demo with it.
Yeah, because that cable, if I remember, you can just plug it into a microphone or cassette recorder or whatever to.
Yeah, it's just a
mono headphone jack, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. Yeah, you yell into the cassette, and it makes enough amplification so that the monitor out is enough for the joystick, and that's how you do your. Yeah.
You do your sampling that way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I suppose if you had audio on a tape as well, you could probably do it.
Yeah, you can digitize tapes. I did do that with the CoCo 1 and 2 version way back when.
Right. We'll have to tone out that cable too, so we can make our own cables.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Well, it's a pretty simple cable, so.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah, probably nothing fancy about that one.
Almost simple enough for me to make one. No, I'm just kidding.
It's probably very similar to the cable I was making with the didgeridoo cable.
Yeah, it's let's see. I have a couple other cables that are laying here. Yeah, because I had this one here, which this looks very similar. It has the same 6-pin DIN. This happens to have a stereo jack on it though. But I think this was a similar cable, and then there was also this one here. But this one has just the 5 here. Whoops.
Yeah, so that would be cassette.
There are 2 samplers since there's X and Y on the joystick, so it makes sense stereo, 1 for each.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, last week you guys saw me show my overly priced 55-cent CoCo 2 box that I happened to acquire. Well, there was another listing out on the world of eBay, and I just thought I'd kind of share it. This one's going to need some attention. Oops, let me back the camera up just a little bit here. Oop, other way, not that way.
Coffee, I'd say.
There we go. Whoops. There we go. Probably about as best it's going to get. So there was a grouping of CoCo 2 boxes. This one's going to need a little mending here because the lid's all falling apart and stuff. So I'm going to have to. Here's the side tabs. I have to do a little mending though. But this was just a CoCo 2 box, and again, I have some CoCos that are out of boxes, and so I might try to get some of these patched back up and maybe use some tape on the bottom to try to get this back into some sort of so it's in a usable form here, and come up with something for some blocking. I thought about using a hot wire and some foam and actually cutting out my own foam blocks or something like that. But there was this one, and then with that same lot, there was this box as well, similar. This one's for a 263134B. So they're not in the greatest shape as far as cosmetics go, but this one actually did have the blocking with it, so that was kind of nice. So I'll see if I have a computer that can go into that one there. And then also another box. This one's for a 263026. This one doesn't have any blocking though, but so there was
That doesn't have the glossy finish, does it?
Nope.
Yes, you've become a connoisseur of the rag board Korean boxes versus the proper paperboard US boxes, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's definitely
and another one for a 3026, and this one had the blocking as well.
Yeah, that's an older one because it's got the Radio Shack logo instead of Tandy.
Right.
Yeah.
The first gen CoCo 2s.
Good manly cardboard too.
Let's see here. Oh, this one here. This one didn't have the blocking though, but we did. One of the boxes did have a cover in it. So the Radio Shack and the Color Computer 2.
It's not yellow at all.
No, but it does have a little bit of a film, I have to say. So I may
Well,
have
it
to
gets
wash.
sticky after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have to wash my hands after this one here. This one's going to need a good cleaning though. So, but yeah, I'll get that all cleaned up. So that was kind of nice to have that in the lot. So
Well,
yeah, so it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't expensive though, but it was there was a listing out there with four boxes all in one big group, and so I picked it up. It was a pretty reasonable price actually. So it was nice to kind of save those, and I got some CoCos that'll find new homes in them. The next thing I was going to share with you guys. So a while back, you saw me share this Color Computer 2 that came with this cartridge made by this company called High Tech. And it's a company that made marquee systems. And so from what I was been able to determine so far is that they made their own proprietary cartridge, which really just has a ROM inside there and some LEDs and a simple board. And this would interface to whatever marquee sign that they were selling. And they sold it with a Color Computer 2 because it kind of came as a whole package that they would sell to their customer, which I thought was kind of interesting that, there's companies out there that rather than reinventing the wheel, it's like, well, hey, we got this Color Computer 2. Let's build a ROM cartridge and we'll plug this in and we'll sell this as a package to our customers.
Yeah, Bill Noble was involved with one like that with the CoCo 3 that did the similar thing. It was for controlling signs.
For controlling signs, okay.
Yeah,
So
I was
there
hoping he was going to be on today. He could have actually talked to you about it, but as I did explain in the pre-show, you got hurt at work a little bit there, so he wasn't able to make it.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry to hear that.
Is that a T1 CoCo?
Looks like it.
It may be. I don't know.
27B?
Yep, it's a B. No, it's a no, this is a 31. This is the 34B. 34B. So there was, I just wanted to show this one because of what I'm going to show you guys next. And I can't remember if I had shown this one or not, but I wanted to maybe reshare it. So I come across this one here a while back. I don't know if I'd ever put this on the show or not. There's a company out there called Thermal Patch, and they actually took the CoCo label off and they put their own big label out here. And this is a CoCo 3, and they actually had their own ROM cartridge too that they had that they put in there. This Thermal Patch Corporation thermal label writer label printing program version 1.0007, and you can see the copyright here is 1987. And this thing turns on still, but it has some issues that I need to troubleshoot. I think I've narrowed it down to the processor, but I've tried this ROM cartridge in a working CoCo 3, and all I get is a green screen. So I think there might be something wrong with this, and maybe that's what caused some damage to this. So I'm a little reluctant to plug this into another CoCo 3 until I get it fully get some troubleshooting done. But anyway, again, this what I thought was kind of interesting is here's a company out there that needed a computer or some type of way of controlling their printer and interfacing with it, and rather than going and reinventing the wheel again, they made their own proprietary cartridge and threw a different label on it. Because on the bottom, what's that?
So it's very likely that it also depends on having their printer plugged into the CoCo 3 when it boots. So that might be your own.
Yeah, I was thinking of that same thing. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I was thinking that too. That maybe this program is looking for the printer to be plugged into the back.
And just locks up waiting to get a response.
Yep. And so that, they left the stickers on the bottom and everything, but nothing really special inside. It is just they didn't do any sort of modification or anything to it.
Yeah, it's even just stock 128K, but it looks good.
Yep. So
yeah, just maybe if you can dump the ROM out, we can figure out if that's what it's trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't peeled the label on this yet, so but
hey Ken, I have an idea for next week's game.
Thermal patch.
So along that lines, let me grab this one here. And this is the one I just recently acquired. Some of you may have seen it if you happen to have stumbled across it on eBay. It's been out there for a while. I had messaged the seller.
It's the New York Times color computer that's been out there for
years.
No,
7 years.
John Linville. John Linville is the owner of that. He
mentioned,
really? Yep, a couple months ago he had mentioned it on their program that he actually acquired that. So
back in the day, that was like $300.
Yep.
Yeah, back when other CoCos were selling for like 25 or 30.
So now it's right in line with the rest of everything that's being sold.
Yeah, that listing there was just a color computer 2 with some sort of a cartridge that came with it. I believe he determined it was maybe some sort of an interface to some kind of a printer. So maybe it was something with the New York Times as far as some sort of printer that they had that it would dump. Maybe they had a program that they ran on and it would dump to it. But yeah, I don't know what he paid for it, but he spoke about the fact that he shot him a price and maybe they must have finally decided to budge on it. And because it had kind of become a little bit of a pun line because it had been out there for so long. So this one similar was out there, and I had my suspicions about what I was going to be getting. I did negotiate a price with them because I had tried messaging them several times and they didn't really budge. And this time they finally did. So what I have here is another CoCo. They relabeled it and it's this company Biosystems Inc. PosiCheck. And it has this 15-pin ribbon cable coming out the side of it. But what's kind of unique is on the back, there's this plate that they put over the ports. The ROM cartridge slot is blocked. And they peeled all the labeling off, but you can see a couple of screws here. So I had my suspicions about what's going on here with these screws, and my prediction was right. And so I'm glad that I was right, but yet sad that I was right. And then let me remove the cover and I'll tell you why. Or I'll show you why.
They're cloning little puppies.
No motherboard. They're just using the keyboard.
No motherboard. Exactly right. They're using just the keyboard. So
the case is in pretty good shape, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan didn't join us, did he? He didn't.
Oh,
Alan,
right.
Did Alan join us here? No, I don't see Alan on the show. So Alan and I were talking about this, and he made an observation, and I believe that he is correct. I did a bit of Google searching with this company here called PosiCheck. And what they are is they're a company that makes equipment for testing scuba gear, like the respirator or whatever the part that you put in your mouth.
Regulator.
Regulator. Thank you. So they make equipment for testing that, and there actually is newer versions of their equipment that connects to a computer, and it talks about a USB port and things. But back in the day, they they looks like they were buying CoCos and doing this to it. And Alan's thought, and I think Alan is right on par. Probably what they did was they took the system board out, put this interface board for the keyboard, because that's all this is.
Right.
And they put this little block right here, which keeps and the spring and the flap are still here. You just can't open it because of this little piece that they put in there.
Screwed on it. Yeah.
And what Alan is thinking, and I think he's right, that they took the CoCo 2 board out and they installed it into a box, let's say, where they had their sensors at, or the whatever it is that they would hook to test the respirator, and made a program. So they use this as just like, you know how it was people would extend their keyboards back in the day. You know, they would take their keyboard out and extend it. They essentially did the same thing. So this could be setting off to the side, and then they had the test gear over on the table where they would hook up the regulator, and then they would run the program. So what I'm wondering is there boxes out there with CoCo 2 boards in them with maybe a custom ROM or something that would run their program? And I only have half of the puzzle here.
So I would say don't hold your breath.
This is in such good shape. I would ask the question, like the screws on the transformer. Has there ever been screws in those holes?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Yep. Yeah, the holes are threaded here.
Oh, so it was used and then disassembled. It's not like they got cases and keyboards somewhere.
Yeah, I kind of thought that same thing, but I do see threaded. These are threaded here, and well, these would have been threaded to put it together. But I was trying to see if I could find signs of.
Right, because the transformer would be it, because those were threaded when you drove the screws.
The motherboard mountings, the motherboard mounting posts.
Yep. Same thing. Yep. These are threaded right here as well.
So yeah, they took the board out and used it in a nice safe box, I bet, because scuba implies salt air and.
Yep, and so they may have had a box that they put the CoCo 2 in, and then they somehow their regulator tester, let's just call it that, I guess, maybe plugged into one of the ports of the CoCo, and so I don't know. I reached out to the seller to see if maybe because the seller of this is a company that is an eBay company, and if you look at their other items that they had for sale, it's across the board. It was a surplus company, so it looks like some sort of a company that would buy either maybe surplus parts or maybe e-waste or something like that, and they just have all sorts of. I mean, it's across the spectrum of stuff that they have. So I did ping them back and just say, hey, by any chance, would you have had this other piece of equipment, But we'll see. Maybe someday, maybe I'll stumble across another posi check, but at the actual tester itself, that would be cool. And if there was a CoCo 2 board in there, that would even just be, really cool.
But Brian, you said posi check is still around. They just use modern equipment with USB stuff.
Well, yeah, there's a company that since acquired them. And so I was going to try to message them. I just started doing the research this week. But I may try to reach out to them, and maybe they might be able to offer me something.
Or contact with some of the original people that were there or something, maybe.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to find out the story if that's what they were doing. So, and the only reason I say that, the reason why I think Alan's observation is correct is that, and maybe one of you can add to this though, it seemed like kind of a costly choice to buy a perfectly good CoCo 2 just to get a keyboard.
Yeah, especially considering Radio Shack sold CoCo or deluxe CoCo keyboards off the shelf for like $39.
Yeah, and if all you're doing is getting the case and extending it, you probably could have bought any type of a keyboard, and interfaced it that way. So that's why I kind of like Alan's idea that they took the board out and put it into another box, and then they use this as basically just the keyboard terminal, and then this connector here would then plug into the
box,
right into their box, and basically they just turned the CoCo into a remote keyboard is what they did.
Right, so, this was all waterproof and rust proof and everything else proof. So
So anyway, I thought this was kind of interesting. I just happened to stumble across it because it wasn't listed in any fashion of like TRS-80 or Color Computer or anything. It was just I just happened to, I think maybe eBay's algorithm, where it tries to find similar things, like, oh, here's some other stuff that maybe you might find interesting. That's how I happen to.
Do they have any stickers on the bottom, or did they leave the Radio Shack ones?
No, they completely peeled it clean.
Okay.
The only sticker is the one saying passed. but everything else is peeled off. So
So, maybe they used OS 9. That's a
So, but,
T1.
Yeah, I would love to see that other box. Maybe there's a hacked up motherboard with wires bodged into it, and all kinds of nightmare. I'd
Yeah.
love to see what's
yeah, because I mean, obviously, I mean, with the CoCo, you have two, you have several analog inputs, and you got easy to, make a custom. Somebody wrote up a program, you could burn it to a ROM and plug that into the ROM cartridge of the board. So, like this thermal printer one that I just shared with the group. So, but no, I just find it kind of interesting that there was companies out there. Does anybody know if there's like companies that were using other retro computers? I mean, were people doing this with Apples or Commodores or other brands? Or
there's a whole bunch of lighting control for like theater and stage stuff that's done with the Apple II.
Okay.
Also, some of the early sound cards I had with the Apple, they were doing like training simulators for like medical. They do like heart defibrillation stuff so that they could train people what to listen for.
But they would actually sell a Apple computer as part of the package. There was like somebody wanted this package and they would sell. Okay.
Yeah, theater stuff. Yeah. Oh, also, some Apple IIe's were used for controlling planetariums,
Okay.
controlling the shows. And as far as I know, they were also done as a whole package.
I do know there were some OS 9 machines that also did the planetarium controls. I heard that from some of the people at Microware because they'd sold it to them.
That would make
But
sense.
they sold it as a package where they would sell the color computer and the software and everything together as a package then. So
I'm not sure if they used CoCo's or some other OS 9 machine, but I know like the Treasure Island in Las Vegas, the casino had that show that ran every half an hour with actors and stuff, but also the ships would sink and they'd fire cannons. Most of that was controlled by an OS 9 program as well.
Before you could just grab a random PC clone, it would make a lot more sense to just sell the right computer for your stuff with your stuff.
Right.
And call it
known quantities.
Yeah.
The Cable Guide Network and the Weather Channel, early ones used in Atari 130XE and later ones used in Amiga.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I think
And there
I've
was
heard
some
that one
TV
before.
studios I saw, they had a CoCo hooked up to do their little graphics between shows and stuff because they were actually running the VDG to do it. So
Yeah, a lot of Amigas.
I've seen a few of those. Yeah, because it was just a cheap way to make a character generator and stuff that you could do, like, coming up next.
Yeah, that's because a Genlock was available starting with the Amiga 1000.
Oh, even before that, though, they would just record it directly off the RF signal.
Yeah.
The Amiga took it to a whole new level with the toaster and stuff. So
Yeah, well, the Amiga 1000, the first released, one of the first things that was made and sold with it was the Genlock. It was within 6 months of the release of the machine.
Yeah.
Which, remembering when I was a kid, the Amiga Genlock was better than the network TV 1970s cost is no object Genlocks that they put up the little commercials during the football games and stuff, which could only do wide over the background screen playing and nothing more.
by the way, Brian, we have a comment from Mark Siegel. Of course, he worked at Tandy at the time. He said they may have bought parts from the parts depot because you could get like the cases and stuff separate and only pay for those.
Oh.
So that's another possibility.
And I guess that's possible. The only thing I was kind of wondering, I mean, you can see here, there's still some of the glue residue from where you can see where the sticker would have been right here, and the warranty sticker was right here. Now maybe it came that way from
parts. Might have. I don't know.
From the parts there, but yeah, that's an interesting thought too. Yeah, they may have just bought the parts directly.
Well, look in look in the holes to see if they have screw. I mean, the screw holes have screws in them.
Yes. Yep. We
I think they did.
Yep.
So,
yep, the system where the system board would have gone right here. Let me move it a little bit further. So this post right here, there's already screw holes in there, and there's screw holes in here where it's not screw holes, threads. I'm sorry, and there's also threads where the transformer was at. So
yeah, and over the cartridge port too.
Yep, right here. Yeah, there's screws that were in here as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they more than likely just took the board out and put it into the machine itself, because when you're using test equipment, you want the leads for the sensors to be not long.
Right.
And who knows how big of a machine it was that they had, and so they just had to basically plug this into the machine, and
Your little keyboard you can throw around on the desk. Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
So anyway, I thought it was very kind of interesting. And I don't know. Is anybody aware of other machines that were out there that people did this that maybe we haven't seen, or maybe with the CoCo, that is?
There was a few that had been brought out to Rainbow Fest and early CoCo Fest I remember bringing, but I darn if I can remember what the companies were, what they were using them for. But there was a few I saw. There was one that was doing some sort of electronics thing that actually came with the CoCo inside of another box.
Oh.
With a screen and some other electrical hookups and stuff. I remember they brought it to CoCo Fest probably in the 90s.
Okay.
And that was sold as a third-party thing. Rick, do you remember what that was?
I don't specifically, but I mean, you got to admit the timing. 10 years before this, everything was transistors on boards and stuff. And now you're saying, you mean I can buy this $250 thing, throw its motherboard in place of my whole rack of stuff that I designed and hook my interfaces to it and call it a day? I could see everyone jumping on that one. Go down to Radio Shack, $300. I got the whole control system done. It's tested. It's got a warranty.
You just had to write some software and burn it to a ROM.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's all I had to share with you guys today. I thought these were kind of interesting and got me thinking about. And I remembered I had this thermal patch system, and the thing is that a lot of this stuff was obviously back in the 80s and stuff like that. So doing searching either via the archive or just even doing simple Google searches, there's really not a lot of information out there. And so it's kind of hard to search about this stuff because it just wasn't, obviously around at the time. But
Actually,
anyway.
it could have been done in the 90s because a lot of times, just after the CoCo got real cheap, people bought it to, because it was real cheap because people weren't buying CoCos anymore in the 90s.
Yep. Also, James Jones in the chat says, I remember reading, he was thinking it might be in 6-Day Microjournal that some company used the CoCo motherboards for avionics device.
Well, and along that similar line there, I'd have to look back on Facebook, but I know I had posed this question maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I had heard it, through comments or whatever, that NASA had used a color computer, something with the space shuttle. And I posed that question. It spawned quite an interesting conversation. The consensus is that it was just rumor at the time, though. But
some of the space shuttle testing equipment did use 6809s with OS 9, but I think somebody who actually had worked there had mentioned that wasn't CoCo, it was some other 6809 based
board.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of interesting too at the time. Again, the space shuttle at its time was supposed to be, leading edge technology, and again, why reinvent the wheel if you could pull something off the shelf and do something with it, So.
Well, what year did the first space shuttle take? Was it 81?
81.
Yeah, so that's right around the beginning of the CoCo too. So that's they're on par.
Yep. All right. So, okay. Well, that's all I had to share with you guys today.
Cool. Nice.
Cool.
Hi. Any other project updates?
That sounds like a no.
Well,
nope.
Oh, maybe. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, while Brian was talking, I finished this.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
There might be a new Ron's Garage thing though.
Yeah. You ready, Ron?
Yeah, hit it.
World premiere.
Let me get up so I can push the button.
So Ron, where did that new intro come from?
Made it myself.
So you wrote the music and all?
Yep. No, the music's off the shelf. Get it free, publishable without having to pay. I just found that, and then I went to this chip champ thing and threw it all together, and then made it to end at the right time, and threw the pictures in, and voila,
It
came out
played
pretty
out.
good. Yeah, worked out neat. Yeah, I was tired of the other one for a while. Anyways, this is what the show's for. The Bills are playing right now. I just love showing how well CoCo One can display graphics now with the CoCo VGA. And if chips ever come back and you ever get yourself a CoCo VGA, it's awesome. And there's a whole bunch of pictures you can see that I've already contributed to, and you could look at.
I
Anyway.
will mention the chip has shown up again. There was a
Yes.
lot of 1,500 or whatever, but sold out pretty quick. But they are starting to come off the production line for the first time in several years. So cross my
Great.
fingers.
Right.
Hang on a second. My wife is vacuuming. Can you hear it?
Nope.
No.
Oh, good. All right. Well, it might come in.
I'm just curious, is the CoCo VGA compatible with the CoCo DV?
Their
know what that
specialty
is.
stuff is a fair bit different, like extra modes and things.
Right. Okay.
Okay, this is what ate the CoCo cat.
Has
I thought we'd have something like this for the new CoCo fests that we have, and have the guy have somebody walk around in the Taz thing eating eating and drinking
Chewing on a cat.
yeah.
That sounds like, Ron, you're volunteering for that job.
I am fat enough. Here's the Jetsons I made one day. I put color basic 1.0 because the looks on their faces. What am I going to do with that? Because that's what happens when you find a CoCo and you boot it up and you haven't opened it yet and you see that it only has 16K. But anyway, so much for that.
Or
fun.
maybe even 4K.
Yeah, this is back in the day. In 2000, I had a landline still, and you see this thing hanging here. This was your caller ID device.
So
I
caller
believe it-
ID and touch tone.
Yes,
You weren't old at all.
we were advanced. Yeah, but as you see, I just I don't know where I had the plug in. Must have been up above my head somewhere. Anyway, this is my CoCo 3 setup. It was nice. I have ADOS running there. It's black with green, and it's 30. No, I think it was 40 maybe columns. You can set it in ADOS. It was fun. I always thought it was cool to boot up to black instead of the green, and that was the way to do it.
The ADOS
Okay.
was a great extender. It lets you use 40 track, double sided, 80 track
Was-
drives.
it
Added
was
a whole
awesome.
bunch of commands. Extended ADOS 3 added RAM drive support and a whole bunch of other stuff too on top of it. Full screen editor. It's quite nice.
Now I was going to make this intro like 15 or 20 seconds, but the music was so good and it had a good point to end it. So I threw a bunch of other pictures of artwork and stuff that I did, and I figured, why not blow the horn? And then I made it for the high color 2, screen, and that's on my CoCo Pi. It came out pretty nice, and then that's the high color one. And this,
Speaking of high color, Ron, you found the problem that the VCC you got fixed from last week you were talking about?
yeah, this actually is from VCC right here. What happens was when I love the idea of being able to make the processor go fast. I put it over to 89 megahertz or whatever, and then let things rip, and it's in half the, a fraction of the time when it processes the picture. But unfortunately, when it does that, it skips things, and then when the picture would come up, it looked terrible. It would look, there's lines through it, and none of the palette colors were right. Although, if I push some buttons on the screen on high color, I could make it work okay in a different mode. And why that happens, I don't know. But when they said that the new version of VCC was out, I went there, I tried it, and it happened the same way. I set it up just the same as the other versions, and it didn't do any different. And then someone came up and showed me some flowers, some plant, look like vegetation, and they said they did it with high color on the CoCo 3, and I looked at it and I thought, well, if they did it on VCC, then it's fixed. So I tried it 2 or 3 times. It didn't work, and then I realized, well, maybe I should back down the overclocking. So I backed it all the way down to 0, tried it, and it worked perfect. And I had it on the settings where it says that it has the new palette set. So I put that on it. I haven't tried it.
So can you overclock it to render the picture? Because that takes a long time with high color, and then just clock it back down when it's displayed?
No, that's what I was doing, is I had it clocked up when it was rendering, and it skips some of the, when it's analyzing all the colors, it somehow skips over, it doesn't get them all. And then when it comes up and it's finished, it looks terrible. But if you let it do it at, 1.6 megahertz or whatever.
Yeah, 1.78.
Yeah, it works fine.
Okay, I was hoping maybe you could overclock it to render it, and then once it's done rendering, then clock it back down to the regular speed, and then maybe it would fix. Or
that's exactly what I wanted it to do, but it wouldn't.
Okay, so it actually screws up the rendering while it's in high speed.
It does. Yep. As you can see, this thing came out nice. Actually, on the LCD screen when you do it, it's not quite as good as when you do it on
CRT.
The actual. Yeah. And I have a picture down here of look at this CM8, and that smooths over all the dots and makes it look like a photo. It really come out nice. So that's pretty much it, guys.
Cool. Well, glad the problem with the VCC actually rendering high color is resolvable. Unfortunately, you can't run it at high speed. That's one sucky part.
Yeah, it just takes a little time. It's, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes compared to a minute and a half, So, all right, so that's our new thing to start it off with. I may come up with a different one later that's not so long, because it's like 30 seconds or so. And
I mean, for the world premiere, it was good to do it. But I think when we use in the future, we'll probably have to fade it out halfway through, because that's a pretty long intro.
Yeah. So I'll take care of it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Let's see. Why don't we take a commercial break and come in for the game on results?
Okay.
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 Where's my button? There it is.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCo Nation Show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCo Nation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCo Nation Show would like to thank the following patrons: Alex Gare, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Kieran Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Glenn Wabke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, John Bodovkarshaller, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Kevin Holloway, Mike Rayburn, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, Terry Steege, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., Tony C., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Grand old Ian says, I'm Ian C., from Manchester, UK. I'm mostly retro 1978 to 1989, repair and the last few years KiCad and things, including repros and peripherals, just for fun, learning, wanting to contribute etc. I've been a member before here looking into the Japanese TRS-80 Model 1, but somehow you dropped off my server list so just here joining again. Anyway, here I am. Jason W. says, hello from Calgary, Canada. My retro experience is mainly with the Commodore family, C64, C128 and Amiga. Lots of Amigas, these are my personal favorites. But it's time I branch out to other systems I don't have experience with, the Atari ST, and now the CoCo. My passion is repairing hardware because I'm not a strong programmer. And after some time and experience, hopefully I can use my repair skills to help others with their systems. Clay N. Texas says, newbie here, name is Clay and I have a CoCo CPU that's been as storage for years. It was given to me and I've never tried to power it up. I don't know that much about it. I'm a lifelong Commodore, Amiga and recently Apollo type. However, when I was a younger man I always wanted a CoCo because of the 6809 CPU but could not afford one. If anyone would care to tell me what I need and a way to verify proper operation I sure would appreciate it. Kind regards from an otherwise alien CPU user. The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Alex Gayer, Boysen, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCo Nation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this week's CoCo Nation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Hopman. We had a total of 12 scores submitted. They were Exile in Paradise with 800, Mark B with 1200, Canadian Retro Things 2150, Ed Rhodes, 3550. L. Curtis Boyle, 5050. Coconut Bob, 6250. Sloopy Malibu, 8500. Shenley, 10,600. Mr. Evil Dead, 11,150. Buck Owens, 11,600. TJB Chris, 22,000. And this week's number one score goes to Tasman with 55,750. Thanks everybody that played. We'll see you all again next week.
Here comes the Tasman.
We still need that Tasman intro.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, definitely a clear winner there.
Ken, before you get into it, I just want to mention one thing about when they're going through the new to Discord. Jason Warrens, whom you know personally because you met him at Boat Fest, is one of the people that does repairs for Retro Rewind. And he's going to be getting a CoCo, physical CoCo here fairly soon. And hopefully he'll be a person that can help the Western Canadians and maybe Northwestern states get repairs and stuff done. Anyway, go ahead. That was I just wanted to do that before I forgot.
I just wanted to quickly mention here, too, that on the score list, Buck Owens was the only person that score was submitted on the MC10.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I kind of joined the party a little late here, so I didn't get a lot of chance to play this game, but yeah, it's one of the Inafuto games, so it's a game that is available on a number of different systems, but yeah, so I'll just jump right in and say, does anybody have any tips or tricks for playing this game? Because, as I said, I was late to the party, so I only played it for like maybe an hour or so.
I would just like to point out that the double speed poke works really well with it. It smooths out the gameplay.
Oh, good.
Bob, is that on the CoCo 3 version or the CoCo 1 and 2 version?
I only tried it on the 3 on real hardware.
So the original game's only running at regular speed.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I wouldn't
All the
miss let's
sound
try it.
effects double.
We should mention that to the guys in the Futo. I wonder if he's done all the CoCo 3 ports at regular speed.
Yeah. Maybe I recorded a video of the gameplay, so maybe I'll just throw that up real quick and put a link out there. I'm sure a lot of new CoCo users don't even have a clue that that can be done.
I just assume all CoCo 3 games have that built in just because it's, quote unquote,
right.
common knowledge. But yeah.
The only reason
Actually, Bob, if you want a research project, you want to go through the other Futo games and see if it's the same for those.
I can probably do that because I have the turbo light on my computer,
Yeah, because I'm kind of curious. Like, if he doesn't know about that, there's been some complaints the CoCo 3 version is actually slower than the CoCo 1 and 2 and the MC10 versions, and that would be why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anybody else have anything to say about the game? Sloopy? I don't think Sloopy's here. There he is.
Here. Of course I'm here.
Oh, you were napping.
Yes, this is the nap portion of the show.
No, it's coming up.
Yeah, there was a few things I did notice about it. If you were jumping like on a platform, it would make you go really high. And sometimes you could actually go through one of the platforms or even through the through one of the bubblegum monsters.
Now, was that only when you're on the elevator? I heard somebody mention that during the stream.
No, not always. I actually went like I was where let's see here. Let's do this. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
Hey. I looked at you without wincing. I don't want to hear it. When you have like two platforms that are close together, I found that if you jump with one of the monsters coming towards you, if you jump and keep holding the jump, it will come up, hit the ceiling, come and bounce off of the bubblegum monster and keep going and not kill you.
That's a pretty neat trick. I didn't do that one.
Yeah, and I actually got that to be repeatable. So, which is kind of helpful when they're blocking your way and getting to the top platform is difficult or impossible.
And then as a general rule, I think if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I only played it the amount of time I was on the stream, which wasn't anywhere near the whole part of the show. I think the longer you hold the space bar, the longer you will jump, or the higher you will jump up to a certain point, and you can also steer the jump in midair, right?
Yes. I mean, it's probably about 4 to 4.5 character heights in distance. But if you just tap it, you'll go like only 1, but
okay,
up to 4. And the timing is really short on it, so it's not that big. So
you're saying this game breaks the laws of physics? Well,
yeah. He just said it jumps in midair, which is cool because you're on the computer.
Yeah. Well, it's a video game. It's not real life.
Well, all games should follow the real laws of physics.
Because
it's not a simulation.
I died hundreds of times in this game, but I have yet to die in real life.
And if you die in a video game, your computer should electrocute you.
And bring you back.
And then defibrillate you.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to mention, just from watching some of the comments in the Game On Challenge channel and just also general comments of the game itself, I think a fair number of people picked this as probably their favorite Infuto game to date. They said this is one that actually, they want to play after the challenge type thing rather than just for the 2-week period. I was wondering, for the people of you that have played it a fairly extensive bit the last couple of weeks, is that your feeling as well, or do you think it is one of the better ones they did?
I would rank it probably about on par with Aerial, because I also liked that a lot because it had a very chopper command feel to it.
Yeah, and the one that's made based on Bosconian's one I really like. I played that one outside of the challenge too because I quite enjoyed that. But
Yeah,
I would rank this in the top 3 or 4. I think out of the how many they got now, a dozen or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, I would say that the Bosconian one, Ariel, and Hopman are definitely top 3 material.
Yeah, and for those of you that have other platforms, they're still cranking out the other platforms. I saw the Model 100 version went up there, so Ken can try that one later on too, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because no one noticed, but last week on the Game On Challenge Live, I actually played the Atari version, not the Tandy version. So
yeah, but you cheated because you disabled the sound so nobody would notice the background music playing.
Yeah, yeah. So it was. Oh, are you saying that the Atari has better sound?
Oh yeah, it has a sound chip.
Also has a GPU.
Sprite chip, you mean?
No, it has a GPU.
Anyways, enough of this Atari CoCo fighting.
It's still wounded by a 6502. Sorry, go ahead, Kev.
Neutroid rules.
I think this is definitely a game that would work really well on like the Model 100 on those little screens like that. So
yeah, I'm sure how that would, because that would be the first horizontal scrolling one I think they would have tried, and I'm curious if the little LCD can keep up with that. Well, I guess it does with Draconian or Bosconian clone.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a way to get it on my Model 100, I'd try it.
How did you get them on, Ken? Did you just download the CAS file and just plug it in the?
I've only used it in emulators.
Oh, okay. Well, who was running it at Boat Fest? Because somebody was running it. Oh, that was 48K RAM.
Yeah,
Josh.
48K RAM had, but
he was running them all on his Model 100, like he copied them on there. So,
but he had the big hard drive on his Model 100, so he could put as many games on it as he wanted.
There you go. There's your solution, Sleepy. Just spend $1,000 for an upgrade. That's all.
So all the games you wanted on a Model 100, what was it, like a 10 meg?
Actually, it had some pretty good looking games on it.
Yeah, there was one dungeon crawler that looks really good.
The Asteroids was great.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Other than that, for tips or tricks, you basically memorize 8 different levels and then it repeats, I think.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I never got anywhere near it either. And basically, if you memorize where things are, and you have certain things you have to go like staircase up, so you have to do the short jumps, otherwise you might leap off the edge and plummet to your death. So basically, just memorize it because it never changes. Just the timing of the monsters might change.
Yeah, the farthest I got was the 4th screen.
That's I think as far as I got to. Maybe not even that far. Might have only made the 3rd.
Yeah, I made the 4th screen once.
I made the 2nd level.
Mark Bosley, did you make it past level 1?
No.
I thought you got to the end of the 1st level.
No, I never made it to the end. Never made it to the goal.
You'll do better next time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fun game. It's an original one. It's on a bazillion platforms and still more coming out. So if anybody wants to try it on other ones, like Sleepy mentioned, he tried it on the Atari 8-bit machines. You should go grab it at infuto. Whatever the heck it is. Pulling a blank. Is it org?
Sure.
I don't know.
There's a link in the Discord channel.
Actually,
there you go.
Difficult website to Google and find the official one. You find all the Atari and all other systems, but not the official Inafudo website.
Yeah, it's a fairly bare bones website. So
yeah, it's infuto.whatever/8bit/ the game name. I remember that.
It's inufuto.web.fc2.com/8bit.
Okay.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah, because you go there, you can actually see all their games, and when you click on the game, you'll get little columns of the YouTube channel views of a 1-minute video of every version they have of that game for every platform they have for it, which is now I think up to like 70 on some of the older games, and Hopman's probably getting pretty close to that now.
Mm-hmm. And the other game we played this week was Space Marauder, which I have yet to try, so I can't even talk about it.
It's a good shooter. There's 2 main screens to it. It's also made by Nick's main rival in Australia back in the mid to late 80s. They were vying for getting included with Radio Shack bundles and stuff. So
so it's a quality game, not like one of Nick's.
Well, if you mean it's
And-
not milking the same concept for 40 years and counting, yeah, you're right. But
And Nick's asleep.
Yeah, it's probably better.
Some people, Nick's games are great.
I heard it.
You're going to call to order it, and you're going to get out.
Here's a question for those people that are naysaying Nick's skills. What games?
I'm not saying naysaying Nick's skills. Most of his games are great. It's just the one he's been rehashing over and over, trying to get it right is the one in question.
How many games have you released?
Shows perseverance.
1, 2 that I've released in basic yet. Woohoo!
And that
None.
other person. Exactly.
Oh no, Ken, when you first joined the channel, you finished off a little basic game you started as a kid, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of finished. It's not, yeah. It's not running quite well enough to actually be released.
Yeah.
I'm
big
writing a
question.
basic game while I'm watching the show right now. I'll put it in the when you do the game news later on.
Okay.
Yeah. How
That's
many?
right.
As long as it's not Neutroid in basic, I'm good with that.
Yeah. How
Ah,
many?
damn. How did you know?
How many furries do either one of you own?
How many what?
How many
Ferraris?
Ferraris do either one of you own? How many of you?
I got rid of mine a long time ago when I was a
I don't
kid,
even
so-
go in for those cheap little Ferraris. I want McLarens.
Actually, I was going to ask Nick, since you and Craig were like, did you ever meet Craig?
No. And really, there was no rivalry because I didn't even know the guy back then. So
Well, just that I know
didn't-
it's like he got Pursuit won the game programming contest for the first CoCo 3 release, and I think you'd submitted
I-
Donut Dilemma, which got accepted by Radio Shack as well, right around the
Yeah.
same time. And then he did or Space Marauder the next year, and I think you did was it Rupert Rhythm?
well,
Like you
Rupert
both got
is-
both got accepted by Radio Shack to sell through Radio Shack or Tandy, sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is, I wasn't aware at the time that Tandy were even at the time were looking for anyone third-party software. I just sent it to Tandy because it was like a last-ditch effort to try getting Tandy to sell anything. So I just sent it to Tandy without realizing there was a competition running.
Oh yeah,
for
because
that
it was
very
in
reason.
one of the magazines I remember was sponsoring. it,
Yeah,
too.
I had no idea about that. The magazine had the competition, and what was his name again? Craig
Stewart.
Stewart was
Craig
the
Stewart, yeah.
winner.
Yeah.
Craig Stewart. No, I wasn't aware of even the competition. It was just random. I thought, well, I'll try send it to Tandy and see what happens. And it just happened that they accepted it, and it turned out that they decided to have 2 winning entries, basically,
Yep.
unofficially. That's I didn't even know Craig at the time.
Yeah, it's too bad you didn't, because actually just recently I found was it Australian CoCo or something that had the contest
Yeah.
announced, and basically
Yeah,
you got a contract with Tandy. You made, I think, $1 a copy or something like that as your royalty for a copy sold, but they also gave a $500 bonus on top of it if you won the contest. So you lost that part.
I lost that part. Yeah.
But some of us even got to meet Craig because he actually happened to be in Chicago totally by coincidence. He wasn't planning on going to CoCo Fest, but he found out
Last year
on the web. No, it was a bit before that. I think it was before COVID.
or the year before. Oh.
Yeah, but he was there for like a business trip or something like that, and he just happened to be there the weekend of CoCo Fest, and he actually came in and said hi to everybody. I think this was back when it was still at the Blue Heron or Heron Point, I should say.
Yeah.
There's a few pictures we got of him there, but it was kind of nice to meet him. The other Australian legend.
Anyway, back to Space Marauder.
Well, what's your opinion of the game, Nick? Since you're a fellow Aussie and a fellow CoCo
Oh, it's good.
enthusiast.
Yeah, no, it's good. It was one of the first CoCo 3 vertical shoot 'em ups that came out with nice 16 color graphics and everything. No, it was well done.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of it, aside from the fact it's just generally a fun game to play, is the particle physics, like all the explosions when you like shoot the edge of an
Yeah,
asteroid
yeah.
so it ricochets off. There's so many things going on the screen at once. I was quite surprised. it could keep up.
Yeah, no, he did a good job.
Well, now I'm
Not
looking
as
forward
good
to
as
playing it.
Neutroid, but not as good as Neutroid, of course.
Of course.
No, far better. But for those of you, if you want to zoom up Bob Emery's screen here, I can kind of briefly describe the game for those who missed it. Like Ken, like you've never tried it, so you don't even know what the object of the game is, I'm presuming.
Shoot things.
Oh, no, there's more to it than that.
Don't die.
More to it than that, too. But Mark, if you can zoom up Bob Emery's screen, because he's actually playing it, I can kind of explain it a bit.
Coming.
So there's 2 levels to the game, basically. This is the first level here that we're seeing, where you pick up the little blue comets. That'll increase your power. You also got the asteroids where you can shoot or dodge. Now, if you shoot an asteroid, you have to hit it dead center. Like you see that little black empty spot on the bottom? You have to hit it there for it to explode. Otherwise, it just ricochets off particles. And you have to shoot a certain number of them and collect the power, because every time you get hit, your shields go down, etc. And every time you fire, your power goes down. If you hit the space bar, you can activate your wing lasers, but then your power goes even faster, but you get to shoot multiple shots in one shot, basically in 3 grid lines. And then once you get enough here, you'll see a little warp thing, which is a little blue robot-y thing. And then you have to collide with it, and that'll warp you to the next level. You actually have to take on the Marauder himself, who's constantly shooting at you, and he takes, I think, 20 or 30 shots. I can't remember the exact number to kill him. And then it wraps back to this level, except faster. So the gameplay on the 2 levels is fairly similar, but there's some different dynamics with the Marauder, who moves back and forth, dropping bombs on you like crazy. We'll see if Bob can make it that far while I'm describing the game here. But
what's the best joystick to use?
Whichever one you're most comfortable.
I mean, honestly, the spring back centering, like any spring back center one, I think does help somewhat. And by the way, as you can see here, you can also move vertically, not just horizontally. I noticed some people I don't think knew that when they were playing it. Here's the warp thing, the little blue robot-y thing. So if you hit that, you warp to the next level. But you can move vertically about a third of the screen, I think. And there's the Marauder on the top, dropping all these bombs, which you can shoot or dodge.
By the way, if you miss that warp thing, you die.
Yep, that is true. Anytime the warp thing comes by, so you have to sometimes sacrifice yourself and run into an asteroid because it's merged with one.
Yeah, I'm a dodge guy.
With the Marauder, I find it easier to move to the top and
then follow him, like kind of go ahead of him and just ram that fire button.
Yep, and then obviously you have to try to avoid, the little round bombs that he's dropping at you though. But I find it a little bit easier to get up there and go. Boom,
well,
boom,
you
boom,
can
boom.
definitely kill him faster if you're up there because your shots fire a little bit faster when you're that close. And if you follow him in the same direction, more of them will hit him instead of just 1 or 2 stray shots. So you generally get through it faster.
But unfortunately, like what's happening to Bob here is that you start depleting your shields really fast if you're.
Yeah, and you can't recharge your shields as far as I know. You can only recharge your power. So once your shields go to 0, you're done. The game's over.
Does this have good sound?
Yes. Good explosions and stuff.
I like the explosions thing.
It's kind of reminds you, the explosion reminded me of Defender. It's that style.
And it shakes the screen when you get hit.
Yeah, he had a lot of nice subtle nuances, which is pretty good programming for coming out this early in the CoCo 3's life, because this is like literally within a year of the CoCo 3 itself getting released, and he was already fiddling with the special tricks and stuff here, which a lot of the other ones like Return of Junior's Revenge stuff, the other early CoCo 3 releases did not take advantage. They just took the advantage of the color and higher res. They didn't start using all the special gimme stuff.
One of the things I noticed is that like when asteroids overlap themselves, you get kind of a black square box.
Yeah, I'm guessing he did that for speed. He's not oring it on, like masking it on the background. He's just putting the shapes there as quick as possible because he's got so much stuff, especially with all the particle physics going on. There's so much stuff going on. I imagine he wanted to keep the speed up.
That's what I thought. Yep.
Well, I didn't notice it till you said it.
I was pretty impressed with the smoothness of it.
Yeah, there's your point grid there. No, it's well visually presented, good sound effects, good visual effects, like Nick was mentioning the shaking screen and the particle physics and everything else.
And this
There is
Coco
3
3.
versions floating around. I will mention there's a 0.1, a 1.0, and a 2.0. It looks like the archive has the 1.0 version. So the 2.0 I uploaded to the Discord, but I'll have to upload the 2.0 to the archive. I didn't realize it wasn't up there. I think it was just bug fixes, but
I'm sorry if you said this already though, but is Craig still, is he somebody that's around? Has he been interviewed or?
He's around, but he doesn't
he's
do
pretty
any
busy.
CoCo stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, he was at CoCo Fest around 2018, 2019 or something. A few of us met him there.
Okay.
So he's definitely around. But I mean, the fact he traveled to Chicago for work tells you how busy he is. He's flying across hemispheres for work. So
Good album.
Mm-hmm.
Were there other games that he did? If you mentioned it, I'm sorry.
Yep.
If
Yeah, he did Pursuit before this, which the previous game winner. He did a couple for the Australian Rainbow magazine, some machine language, like a biplane fighting game for 2
Magazine
players.
entries. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember commercially he did Pursuit. He did this one. He had a tank one. I think that was another magazine one. I can't remember if he did anything after this or not.
I think this might have been the last one that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to compare his sales. Like when you got your first published one around the same time was Donut Dilemma, and we know how many you sold of that. But that's a CoCo 1, 2, and 3 game, so that one had a pretty big base. Considering this one came out like within a year of the CoCo 3, and you hadn't had a chance to sell too many of them yet, I'm kind of curious how his sales were for this one, and maybe that's what steered him into not.
Yeah, yeah. It was the Pursuit that was bundled, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his first
With
one of the year previous to this
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Yeah, I don't know. I can't recall even seeing this one on the Tandy shelves, for that matter.
Well, when you look at the manual, which is scanned on the archive, it actually, I think it says Tandy on it, doesn't it? It's even got a Tandy part number for Australia.
I have to have a look. I haven't looked in
So
a while.
This plays on a 128.
Yep. Yeah, 120K and joysticks. That's all you need. Single button joystick. Don't need a dual button deluxe or anything. It's one of the ones when people ask me like for a good CoCo 3 128K game, if they have an RGB monitor, this is one of the ones I usually suggest because it's got good sound and good graphics and it's fun.
What's that other one that's similar that starts with a Z?
Xenix?
Yeah.
Xenix, yeah.
That's pretty nice too.
Yeah.
That's
That came out a bit
real nice
later
game.
than this, though. He had more time to figure that
Yeah.
out.
Is it the same guy?
Nope.
No.
That's Jeremy Spiller from the States.
Oh.
Who also
We
did
had-
Crystal City.
We had Xenion.
Yeah.
That was another vertical shoot 'em up.
Another Australian one, too.
Yeah.
What was something in the water there? Like you guys had a couple pretty decent game programmers for the CoCo 3 right off the bat there, which.
Yeah, I don't know.
So are these the kind of games you want to show people when you have people come over and you say, oh, you got an old machine? And they say, yeah, try this.
I'd rank this one as one of those, especially for 120K. I mean, you can do some more impressive stuff with 512, obviously, but if you just picked up a 120K CoCo 3 on eBay, this is a pretty good one to get.
Rampage is a good demo for
Yeah.
128K.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one for 128, you have to have the cartridge.
Right.
The disc version takes more.
I like the effect of the stars that are in the background there, where some are moving faster than others.
Yeah.
It gives that nice illusion.
That's a good game. I mean, this is one, if Tandy had picked it up in North America, I would have bought this one.
Right.
So that 2.0 is not available to us?
It's on the Discord.
Oh.
I uploaded on there,
Hey,
but I'll
do
have
you
to put it
know-
on the archive this weekend.
Do you know what the differences are between the original 1.0?
No, I've got 0.1, 1.0, and 2.0. There are some differences, I believe, but I've never really delved into it. I'm just assuming bug fixes because basically they play the same. I think I remember
Yeah.
the 0.11 actually did crash or hang once in a while. And that's definitely not in 1.0 or 2.0. But
Right.
what changed between 1.0 and 2.0? Maybe he added the NTSC option or something, or because the
Yeah,
original version
maybe.
I had patched from PAL. Excuse me.
Right.
Where would you find it in Discord?
I think it's in the Game on Challenge channel.
Okay.
In the Game on
Right, got
Challenge
it.
channel, just Scroll up till you find something Curtis put in there, or search Curtis's name.
It'll be
Actually,
within the past
you
week
should
or
pin
so.
that in the channel, Curtis.
Oh yeah, I guess I could, couldn't I?
Yeah, we should maybe have a pinned message with the links to the current games. Download.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to upload it to the archive because I didn't realize that I thought they had the 2.0 one already. Somebody pointed out to me it's only the 1.0. Hey, does that give you enough of an explanation there, Ken?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Just remember the space bar for the wide lasers and the fact that it will drain your power faster.
Okie dokie.
Definitely helps when you're killing the Marauder at the
Yes. That's the time you save it for if you have enough power.
All right. So, Sloopy, shall we talk about the Game On Challenge live program this week?
Yes, we shall.
Do you want me to show some footage from that?
Sure.
Yes, you shall.
Okie dokie.
Please let it not be Neutroid. Please let it not be Neutroid.
This is just from Thursday night's game.
Oh, okay. I thought you were announcing the next one.
No, not yet. It's way better than Neutroid.
Oh, good.
Someone, I think, is a closet Neutroid fan because they talk about it an awful lot.
Yeah.
I ain't going to name names or anything, but his
NB.
initials are L. Curtis Boyle.
I talked quite a bit about 652 and how bad it is too. So no, it has nothing to do with that.
So you're a Neutroid and a 6502 fan? Jeez.
Not in the slightest.
No, he's not in the slightest. He's in a major.
Although I will say the new one that Nick's coming out with has improved a lot of things. So a lot of my complaints are kind of going to the wayside now. So I will admit that.
9 people.
All right. We actually played Hopman and Space Marauder, as we just discussed. And as you can see, we had up to 9 players. And because there was a certain Canadian who didn't show up, but he goes by the initials CRT, we would have had almost half of all people in the stream to be Canadian.
Jeez, what a jerk that guy must be.
Yeah, Ken decided to go to town instead of go to his CoCo.
I had to pick my mom up from the airport.
And actually, you had an additional tale of as to why you couldn't. That had nothing to do with going to the big city.
Yeah, doing his imitation of Grant.
Yeah, I was storm chasing tornadoes.
Excuses.
Yeah, well.
Priorities, man. Priorities. Well, as you can see, yes, we had 9 players plus 1 missing. And they were not all the same. So we had a total of, I think, 11 people. 11 different people actually played at various times with 9 at once. So it was a good week. And we're hoping, because we're coming into the, it's getting darker sooner. We're hoping to hit 9 and actually go for a full 12 in one week.
We had two new people this week, didn't we?
Yes, we had, one person had been there once before, low level. And then we also had a new player this week, Annie. Welcome, Annie, and thanks for joining us. And please continue to join us. You're a breath of fresh air compared to all these old fogies.
You saying she brings a little class to the place?
No.
Does she at least
Very
make
nice.
most of us be on our best behavior?
No.
No.
She's a very nice person. But she's a real person. So.
And she's a gamer.
Yes, and she's a gamer.
Yeah, she has her own gaming stream, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
You should plug that if you have it handy.
Yes. She streams on Twitch and YouTube. I think she's going from Twitch to YouTube. And let's see if I can find. that beautiful bean footage.
I do know, like Twitch, like a lot of people switch from YouTube to Twitch due to like, fake copyright strikes and all that kind of crap that was happening. But now Twitch has been putting in ads during live streams. Like I've been watching Chronology Gaming. If I watch it on Twitch now, I lose the last 5 minutes of the show because it throws up a whack load of ads right at the 1 hour mark. So I've gone back to watching it on YouTube because it's quite frankly less annoying.
Oh, he streams on both?
Yeah.
He releases his video afterwards on
YouTube as well, but he streams live on both now. Yeah.
Oh, does he stream live on both? Okay.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of complaints from the same problem I had.
Let's see here. It is not showing me. There it is. And she actually streamed the Game On Challenge this week.
She simulcast with us? That's cool.
Yes. And there's the link, link to her stream on Twitch. In the chat.
Okay, yeah, just showed up.
Yeah,
So is she a retro gamer, or does she play all games?
She plays a multitude of games. She is the wife of Low Level. He is a regular in the various classic 8-bit communities, and he's a member of the CoCo Discord as well. And she started to take more of an interest in his classic stuff because she was playing newer stuff. And so unfortunately she decided to dig to the bottom of the barrel and come to our show. But thank you, Annie, for coming. And she brought her husband, Low Level. So then we had Curtis. So there was one.
And that was the real Low Level.
Yeah, that's the real Low Level. That's like bargain basement there.
Yeah. So there were 3 Canadians. So 1/3 of our show was Canadian.
Well, that's right. I forgot they mentioned that they're Canadian as well in the Ontario area, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because
probably not too far from Ken.
Yeah, because you weren't there and Ken wasn't there. We had no Canadian content, so we couldn't broadcast in Canada. So we had to find another Canadian.
Well, it's good to have a few backups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Backup Canadians.
Right before we finish taking over the world.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to guess they're probably in Toronto, and that would
Toronto
make
area.
them close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually closer to you right now, Curtis, than I am to them.
Yeah, I keep forgetting Ontario's really wide. We're tall over here, but we're not. Well, personally, I'm getting wider, but
so
now's the time to stop talking.
Yeah,
pretty much the game on. So please join us next week, Thursday, 8 p.m., where we will be playing Space Marauder again, and we will also be playing.
Oh, I guess that's my cue. So I will stop sharing this. And we're going back into the classics again.
Oh.
Classic Dragon games.
Dragonfire?
Amadar. No, I'm just kidding. That's what it's a clone of.
Yep.
It's one of the Cuthbert series, if anybody needs a hint.
Yes, Walkabout, I think.
Yep. Briefly sold by Tom Mix.
Darn, that was supposed to be my next choice of game.
Oh, sorry.
You did it to me before, so.
So that's Cuthbert Goes Walkabout. So let's see.
I guess we got our check from the British contingent here.
Yes, Dragons are in as well.
Yeah, so this next week is going to be non-North American gaming.
Yeah, because next
both
week,
of them.
Well, you see, Ken's been picking games, more games in line with what I like because he has to see me in a couple weeks.
Yes, this is now our international show. So, or this is our international week.
Next, and now we've got
And-
the UK and Australia represented for games this next week.
Also, I do want to say that this one's actually, I think me and Sloopy quickly talked before the show, and since in 2 weeks, both myself and Sloopy are going to be at VCF, we're going to skip the Game On Challenge that week.
I was hoping you guys would do it live from VCF.
We're not going to have we're not going to have our intern do the show.
You guys should just come on live from VCF and actually have some live game players, trying it out while you're on the air. That's what you should do.
So I have a question. If Cuthbert's on Walkabout, aren't all the games in Australia next week?
Uh,
I mean, Walkabout's
it's
Australian.
a British Walkabout.
No. You Walkabout. You're in the backwoods, the back country of Australia, aren't you, Nick?
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess it's
an
possible that
Australian term.
Jim might do the challenge. I haven't been able to talk to him yet because I just thought of this morning.
He's a intern, so we wouldn't have to tell him until September
Throw it
6th.
on him.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to tell him
Okay.
until September 6th. And how did he do when last week when neither one of us were here?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
I was asking the other people who were.
Oh, much better than you two. He's hired.
He did fine.
Yeah, it's a shoe in if he wants to drop.
Ken, I can feel that we are so loved.
Now, actually, since you guys mentioned it, you guys might as well do a bit of an ad for it. So where and when is VCF Midwest?
It's in Chicago, and it's in 2 weeks.
Well, it's actually west of Chicago, about 20
Okay.
miles.
In the Chicago area in 2 weeks, and Jim has officially been warned. So I guess this game is only going for 2 weeks. So Jim has to do the Game On Challenge in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're available, Jim. No pressure.
Yeah.
Now, do we know who all's coming out to VCF Midwest this year for the CoCo side of things? I know Taylor and Emery are going to be there, but they'll be covering like
Jason is.
all kinds of stuff.
I am. Sloopy is.
Any of the Glen side people or?
Jim will
I
be
don't
there.
know. Jim.
Yeah.
Jim Brain?
There's usually
Yes.
there's usually some Glenside people there.
Yeah.
And I will have a Nitrous 9 table.
Oh, good. The bribe made it through. I was kind of worried.
Oh, that reminds me. I cannot confirm nor deny the allegations because, hey, worldwide shipping can be a little flaky. But the world premiere of the new CoCo 3 and 2B drive wirelessly boards may be there.
Cool.
As long as
Let's hope that derelict gets the work done.
yeah, well, I would blame JLC PCB for not getting it here in time more than anything. Or
Maybe you should have
Shell.
used PCB Way.
Beggars can't be choosers. So, but it was more of a I get a little help from my friends, and I want to thank Rick for assisting me on that. But yes, the drive wirelessly boards will be hopefully here in time for VCF Midwest.
So for anybody who's in the Chicago area in 2 weeks, pop by. I don't know what the details like what hotel this is held at or whatever, but
It's at the Clarion.
And if you want to see Sloopy assembling boards at the show, pop by and watch.
Yes,
You want to come
stop
and play
by.
with
I will be
Nitrous
watching.
9?
It is at the where is that?
And it's free, so you can just come and drop in.
It's at the Clarion Inn. And
what suburb / town
at
official
the
name?
Waterford Banquet Hall. Elmhurst.
It's pretty close to where CoCo Fest was.
Yeah.
Elmhurst? Okay. Just so
Yeah,
people can
it's-
look it up.
It's literally where CoCo Fest was. It's down the road. The old place that CoCo Fest was, it's literally down the street from where the
Harry,
it's about right across from where the Walmart is.
And there'll even be some YouTube celebrities there.
Yes, that's what I
Let's see,
hear.
it's LGR, Ben Heck,
I was thinking the
8-Bit
important
Guy,
ones.
Like Taylor and Amy.
Taylor
Yeah,
and Amy.
Taylor and Amy, Canadian Retro Things.
Adrian gonna be there?
Yes.
I don't think Adrian's going to be there this year, is he?
Yes, he's supposed to be there. He wasn't able to go to West because he had some
picked up
health
a bug.
issues.
You got to watch out for that Canadian Retro Things guy.
Yeah. He's likely to pick your pocket. I've been practicing.
What?
That's where you really were last week when you are on the Thursday when you couldn't make it. You were in the holding cell there because you got caught.
I got caught.
What is it? Oh, there it is. It's 933 South Riverside Drive, Elmhurst, Illinois, USA 60126.
Okay. Now, does the VCF run Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Which
Saturday, Sunday.
Load in and set up is Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday are shows.
Okay. Just for those in the area that can be out there, it's a huge show. It's been growing for the last few years at least. Covers all retro. So, and there'll be definitely some CoCo people out there too. So,
yep.
Yes, and you may want to get there early because, from what I understand, last year, Saturday morning, after about 9 a.m., 10 a.m., you had to walk a half mile from wherever you could find parking to get in.
yeah, and the hotel's been sold out for quite a while. I think this year already.
Yeah,
too.
I think they're already on their third hotel.
Yeah, I've actually gotten 3 people that have asked me for floor space. Speaking of which, Ken, how much are we selling the floor space for? $100 per night?
It goes up every day as people get more desperate.
Can you camp in the Salt Creek Greenway there behind the hotel?
Do they have a lawn you can put a tent up on?
Right.
Yeah, they actually have a big, huge courtyard that's between the hotel and the and where the show is, the banquet hall.
I'm sure they'd be super happy if people set up tents there.
Right.
Yeah, you can form your own VCFW mid MW tent city.
Yeah, that would go over well.
Yeah.
Can I borrow some water and electricity, man? Yeah.
Can I plug in my VW van, please?
Now we had representation from Chauffeur. Are any of you guys, to be a bit more serious? If you guys want to do a live stream of some Game On Challenge with just random strangers walking up to try it, I would love to see that. But are you guys planning on doing a little walkthrough again this year while you're there?
I might do something like that if I can get my phone to work this year. I tried to do that last year, but I couldn't get my phone to connect to Zoom. I tried to log into Zoom and my phone just deleted Zoom altogether.
Nice.
I didn't have many problems with doing it, but unfortunately, the audio quality on my phone is not great because the source material really sucks. So maybe you can try doing it with my phone and see how that goes.
I can try doing it with my phone again this year, but I'm going to actually bring headphones this time too.
Yeah, but I'm saying if yours doesn't cut it, you can try it with mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd like to do a live report from there, especially since we're getting to know some of the people that aren't strictly CoCo out there too, and hopefully some more CoCo people will show up.
Getting to know. Some of us have been going there for 10 years.
No, but some of the people I've just started being YouTubers the last couple of years type thing. Like,
right,
we're kind of expanding the community.
Yeah, it has expanded quite a bit since the early days back in the like 2012, 2013. So, and the whole YouTuber thing has like really exploded since then, because back then you didn't have as many streaming celebrities as you do now.
Yeah.
So
anyway, if you're in the Chicago area in 2 weeks, definitely pop by. As Ken mentioned, it's free admission. You might need to get your hiking shoes on to walk all the way from wherever you park, but it won't cost you anything to go attend the show. So especially if you live in the Chicago area, or it's not too much of a drive for you, it's definitely worth checking out.
So here's a fun fact: just northeast of the intersection of 83 and 38. Illinois 83 and 38. If you can't remember that intersection, you can't remember anything.
So what, that was 72 and 27?
No, that's better known as Dyslexia Junction.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's also the week after VCF Midwest. There's the World of Retro Computing in Toronto. For those that can't make it to VCF Midwest. And yes, and
I remember him. He hung around the Lone Ranger, right?
Yes. And you will also be able to see Frank there, because unfortunately Frank will not be able to attend VCF Midwest, but Frank of Retro Rewind will be at the World of Retro Computing in Toronto.
Yeah, he's one of the main sponsors, actually.
Yes.
Ken, are you going to be able to make it to that one, or Sloopy, or are you making that one?
Probably not.
I don't have a passport, so I can't go. Someone even offered to marry me so that I could go. And I was like,
wasn't me.
Okay. There's also mention from Mark Oberholzer, some other stuff coming up. I mean, we'll cover a little bit of the news too, I guess, but might as well just do the pre-announcement. So the Interim Computer Festival coming to Seattle, Washington, September 30th and October 1st. I don't know too much about that show. What was that cover? Is it like a gaming show or general retro computer?
No,
What is that, Mark?
Just general computing. I posted the link there to the SDF, which is interesting also, that organization. Basically, it's just a computer get-together. It's a pretty small little venue right along the Interstate 5 in downtown Seattle. And there looks like there's about 10 or so people that want to show up and demo stuff. And it's not really gaming. It's more like various computer systems and literally workstations. I think somebody is Apollo workstation or something like that. So it'll be real interesting. More computing than gaming.
So if you're on the West Coast and Chicago's too much of a trip for you, there's another show happening then. And of course, if you're in England, coming up on October 7th and 8th is this year's Dragon meetup at the Center for Computing History in Cambridge. So I imagine a few of the Dragon people will be out at that one too. Someday I'll make it to all these shows. Someday. Okay, so I think that covers the Game On Challenge. I'm just going to go straight to Game On News because I don't have that much. But yeah, definitely check out Amadar. I keep calling it Amadar because that's what it's calling it. Cuthbert Goes Walkabout, which is about a 16K CoCo 1, 2, or 3, I think is all is needed.
Something like that. Let me just take a look.
Pretty minimal system requirements. And a fun little game with a little ditty, as Karen mentioned in the chat earlier, that music will stick out in your mind after playing it for a while.
Okay. Ready for the news intro?
Yeah. I'll just be doing the Game On News, and then we'll probably take a break after that because it's just a couple things to cover there.
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins, no matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation, the CoCo Nation News with L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay, you guys should be seeing a game screenshot there. Assuming my sharing worked. Anybody verify? Okay.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Okay, so first up, the CoCo Show episode 47. This is from the Amigos, of course. Is now up on YouTube. They did the live recording here just last week on Twitch. But it's covering Lucifer's Kingdom, which is a game we just covered recently on the Game On Challenge, I believe, Ken and Sloopy, if I remember correctly. Not too long ago. Which is kind of a, I'm trying to remember what it's a clone of Space something rather, Star Fox, I think, or Space Fox or something like that. basically based on that. It's kind of a Xevious style, but there's a lot of extra stuff to it. So they do it with the normal humor. Now, they also made the sad announcement that Boat will no longer be part of the CoCo show. There's quite a few of the shows he's dropping. His personal life is taking a turn for the extremely busy. He's helping his wife open up a brand new restaurant in Hurricane area. And he's also doing something in the church where he has to do a bunch of training and stuff. That he'll be there. So he'll be quite busy for the next while. So he'll just be doing the Amiga show basically once a week, but one day a week, and he doesn't have to worry about the other shows. So in his place is Aaron's younger brother, Brent, who his first computer he ever used was Aaron's, was the CoCo. So he'll have a bit of experience. Go ahead.
But Boat will probably be serving hot cocoa at that restaurant.
Probably not.
No.
He will hopefully come by and guest once in a while if he has some free time,
Well,
but he
that's
just
good.
can't commit to it. So anyway, we covered this game, I think, recently on the challenge. I'm hoping the silence just means that I was right, that we did do that one recently.
Yeah, I think I kind of remember it.
Yes, we did a while back.
So this was originally a dragon game, but basically it's a really good game. There's a lot to it. I will mention, Kieran and I have been working a little bit on doing minor speed ups to it, just to smooth it out a bit, scrolling wise, etc. So we'll probably be releasing that fairly soon. There was a 609 patch I did already. I might try the 609 version of it too, and just see if it makes any noticeable difference. I can't remember if this is frame locked or not. Kieran might be able to correct me on that or not, but they'll be doing a little bit of an update there. Next up, I talked about this last week. So the YouTube channel called Paul's the Best 3 UK has been doing a lot of Dragon longer plays. So he's actually playing the game for more than a minute type thing. So I mentioned last week he did Monkey Kong plus bonus games, which I hadn't had a chance to look at because it came out just before the show. And the two games he actually added on are games that I have not seen before. So the first one, he actually had it crashing. And this is the Pac-Man one I'll show you in a second here. And it's actually by a guy named Tom F.A. Fiers, F-I-E-R-S. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, from 1983. But it's from Belgium. It's not from North America. It's not from the UK. It's not from Australia. So this is a Belgian programmer that did this. Unfortunately, it crashed. Now, from looking at the way it's reacting, like there's a random bit of gibberish up in the upper left quadrant of the screen, you'll see right over one of the letters in the word score. It looks like this was designed for cassette and they're trying to run it from disk. So I think if you ran it as a cassette game, or if you do a ROM-L thing or disable the disk ROMs, you probably could get it to run okay. But this is a version I have never seen before, and I'm wondering if anybody in the panel or the chat has seen this particular version before.
And execute. There it is.
Revenge of Pac-Man. And that's where it locks up. Now, if you look up here where the word, the E in the first word score on the left here, upper left, you'll notice a bunch of characters, pixels went through there, and that's usually the disk timer thing. And then it crashes, which happens on, other games too, if you load the cassette version. But this one looks a little bit different. Like I noticed, I don't know what the heck this thing down over here is. And you've got power pelts, but you got these other circles here too. Like this looks like a bit of an expansion of Pac-Man. So I'm not sure exactly what it is. I've never seen it before. Has anybody else?
That bottom shape looks like it could be the cherry.
Don't know why that's not working. So if I just
oh yeah, it might be a bonus shape, except it looked like it was walled inside. You get to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a key.
And then what these other shapes here are, I have no idea, because you already got your 4 basic power pills. I don't know what that is. I'm really curious now, so I might have to send the guy a message and ask him if I can get a copy of it, because I've never seen it anywhere.
Fix the game so we can figure out what the heck it is.
But I was wondering if anybody in the chat, like some of the people that are in Europe, because I know we've got a few people from a few different countries in Europe in the chat right now, like Tom and Kieran, etc. And I'm wondering if any of them have seen this particular one before. This was a totally new one on me. And the one he did after that, which is I think is a bit rare too, is Galactic Raiders, which is a Galaxian style game.
Let's start the game. Cool. Oh, this is like
It's a little slow.
Galaxian clone. It runs at quite a slow.
But the guy did the shapes quite well. Like the shapes actually, the ships actually look like the Galaxian ships, even color wise, like the flagship and stuff here too. Probably one of the closer ones I've seen visually. I mean, it's still too slow to be an actual Galaxian, as you can see here. But
not the best. It's quite unresponsive to the shooting of the.
Okay, Kieran has not seen that. Tom Eric Gunnarsson has not seen that, and 8-Bits in the Basement has not seen that. So no, that looks like a new Pac-Man that none of us have seen. So I'm curious about that one.
That's this one. You can see what it looks like anyway.
So anyway, that's the. I think I have seen this Galaxian once before. I've never played it yet, but I think I have seen it before. But the Pac-Man, I'll send a message to Paul here and see if I can get him to send me the disk image or something or whatever, and see if I can patch it so it doesn't crash. Because I'm kind of curious to see what all those extra shapes are. And Paul's been busy doing other ones, so he basically has been doing, weekly. He's been doing these longer gameplays of a variety of games. So this last week, he's put in like the official Frogger, Danger Ranger from Ken Kalish, Storm Arrows, which is a clone of Targ by Spectral, and the one that just popped in today, Dragon Darts game, which I don't know if I've seen that one or not.
What's that Karma Crazy?
That's a clone of your Rally SG.
Welcome to today's game with that video. Now today's
a clone of my Rally SG.
Yeah, it was done like 40 years before yours, but it cloned your game.
Yeah, but it's, you mean a clone of Rally X?
Yeah,
not a clone of.
Oh, here we go again.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, Firefox has been giving me some issues the last couple of weeks. It's been doing that. I don't know what.
I haven't seen that. I've got Firefox.
Yeah, but do you open 714 tabs on the regular basis?
Hello, happy Saturday, Paul is West for UK here. Trouble 20. So let's line it up with the left one there and the top one here.
Looks like it's written in BASIC, but visually it looks pretty decent.
So yeah, entertaining.
And it looks like you move the joystick to move the
try and get another
vertical and the horizontal to try to line it up.
It's actually really easy to aim on this. Do you know, like on them other dark games, you probably played on the Spectrum or something where the sort of.
I hope there's some randomness to it because this looks a little bit too easy. If you can just line it up, take your time.
Shoot, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but they have wind blowing and stuff.
Does it drop?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, if it has a bit of gravity or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe speed or something. I don't know.
Left or right. Move this one here to where you want it go. Say double 20 there, and then fire. And look, accurate is that?
It's like you're looking through a gun sight.
Let's go for treble 13 here. So let's try and aim that nicely. And I've got it as well. Look how easy that is.
Anyway,
as dark games goes, this is.
I haven't played this one before either, so he's got a couple games I've never seen before. It's kind of cool.
Good looking dartboard.
Yeah, I have to say that is. But yeah, obviously I'll get some more stuff to put on the website. I will mention too, I've recently picked up a CoCo collection and a few people are going to be receiving some stuff out of that. I've prearranged a bunch of things. I will be bringing a few things for the CoCo Fest auction at CoCo Fest in May that are from that collection too. But there's a bunch of discs and most of it's stuff we've got before. But there's one game by Adventure International by Lance Miklas. It was called what was it called? The Mean Lean Craps Machine or something like that. It was the craps gambling game from Adventure International 1981. So it's one of Adventure International's very first CoCo games ever released, 16K extended basic, and that was one of the games that he had on his disc. So I'll be putting that on my site hopefully this weekend. But that's another one of my little holes of stuff that I thought was lost forever. I've now gotten. So I'm gonna thank the author. I don't know if I got permission to give his name out, but he was a local guy. He was actually from Saskatoon, had a CoCo back in the 80s. He had a couple family members that had CoCos as well. None of them knew about our CoCo club, so he was out of the loop with all that stuff because we had like 70 people in that club. But he actually started the Model 1, got really heavily into OS9, wrote some of his OS9 software, got to be a fairly proficient C programmer, got his master's degree in comp sci, et cetera, et cetera. So he's downsizing. He's moving from a fairly large house to a smaller condo. So he just doesn't have room for the physical stuff, but I think I've kind of convinced him to try out some of the emulators. So hopefully he'll stay in the community and become active without having to take up a bunch of disk space with all his CoCos kicking around. So, and as hundreds of floppy disks, etc. But big shout out to him for helping find another one of the missing games. That's it for the Game On news. So I will switch over to the regular news now. Go ahead.
You want to hear my?
Oh yeah. I suppose you have something to announce or something. Yeah.
Very important. New toy. Hang on. Why'd the show just end?
Hey, while he's doing that, I wanted to ask you, Curtis, when you look in the game to see, you know, to fix it from that one that's broken,
Yeah.
you know, when you go in there, are you going to see notes or something that'll tell you what those other characters are? Is that what you're looking for?
No, in that particular case, I'm guessing just by the symptom of those randomly shifting dots before it freezes, is that it's the disk drive timer. So it's basically, it's mapped the graphics screen over top the RAM that Disk Basic uses for like buffering sectors and stuff. And it also has, you know, track of the drive motor timers and stuff like that. And I think that's where it's crashing. I think it's a cassette-based game. So basically, I just have to have it so that it disables the disk ROMs and then kick it in.
So even though you normally wouldn't have fixed it, now you've got to fix it just so we'll know how the game plays.
Yeah, well, I can't get screenshots of the rest of the game from my site unless I can get the darn thing running. So I have to fix it. Okay,
Right.
Nick, you're sharing.
Well, I mentioned before that I was actually, to keep me awake during the show, I thought I'd do a bit of basic programming.
That kind of game.
Yeah, but before I get into that, just to say that Neutroid Reloaded is now finished. Thanks to Kieran for putting it together as a hybrid disc for me. So that, by hybrid, I mean it's a disc image that will work on both a Dragon and a CoCo. So one disc will suit both. And
Are you going to have a cassette version as well, or cast?
Well, I probably could, but I don't know.
I mean, that basically be for the Dragon people. I don't think most CoCo people would bother.
Yeah,
with cassette,
that's right. I hate cassettes. Anyway,
Tell us how you really feel.
yeah, that's right. So, yeah, Kieran created this hybrid disc for me, as well as doing tests of the game to make sure it works on Dragons as well. Thanks to Buck Owens and Tasman, who've flogged it to death with their incredible gaming skills, looking for bugs and just giving me an idea of how hard the game has to be or how easy. So I got the difficulty level all sorted out. So this week now I'm just putting together a website and all the rest of the stuff. So on sale very soon.
Okay.
Now,
so this
what I was
here
doing
is on Neutroid Pong.
No, this
Now-
is a vastly improved game called Pong.
yeah, right. On Facebook, Danielle Connor, was it?
O'Connor.
O'Connor.
Yeah.
O'Connor, that's it. Put a request for a Pong game for the CoCo for her upcoming CoCo record or album or whatever it is, music. So I mentioned a while back that when I responded to that message, I said, "Oh, look, you could probably whack something together in BASIC if it's just a bit of a graphic you need for a music video that you want." Anyway, I would have loved to have done it because I thought it'd be a bit of a challenge to try writing a little Pong game in BASIC, but I was busy with a real program like Neutroid. But now that that's out of the way, I thought, well, during the show, to keep me awake, I'll actually try code it during the show. So I started, and it's not playing yet, but I've got the layout all done, and it's in BASIC, and I can just hit.
Obviously, you're running on a CoCo 3 at this point.
It's on the CoCo. Well, yeah, Danielle's got a CoCo 3, so I thought I'd use the CoCo 3 because you got the double clock, double speed, and black. I can set the palette so I get a good black and white, and that's the whole program. I'm still mucking around with it, but yeah, it comes up like that. So next thing to do is to put the two paddles and get a ball bouncing. The score displays up there, and hopefully I might have this done today. I can send it to Danielle, and I'll upload it to for everyone just to download for free. But I thought it was a bit of a challenge to do a bit of basic programming to show.
There's no
what can be
$10
done.
CD version of this one with actual artwork and stuff.
That one might be a bit more expensive. It might be a $30 CD, this one, because this is a really complex game. No. So yeah, just
Actually, if
It
you
would
get
be
it
good
done
to
in the
have-
next week, you could throw it on the Neutroid image. If people order the CD, they can get that one for free.
I could, I could.
Bonus.
Oh yeah,
Pong.
look at that. See, the counter works and everything. But yeah, it's just currently it's only a short little basic program, and that's the whole thing. So, and that's got a test routine in there for the score. It won't be. It's only about 4 or 5 lines so far.
Yeah, you should
So
fit
it's
this in
not-
4K, no problem.
Oh, easy. So, yeah, I thought this would have been a good challenge to see who can create the best Pong game in basic, in as fewer lines as possible. It would have been good, but well, that never kicked off, or no one's taken that challenge on anyway. So I thought, oh, I'll try it. So that's what I've done. I'm gonna get that done during the show, and that's what it's looking like so far.
So are you
And that's-
going to
that-
be putting disc protection on this game?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't want to be pirated by Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to make me pay for it to
but-
put it up on the website. So
So that's really all the graphics. It's just 2 paddles and a ball now, and get it bouncing around. So it's not really a complex game, but it would have been a fun little project for people to put together. Someone else could maybe.
yeah, it'd be kind of like
create
that
one
4K
that's-
challenge Alan Huffman did way back that you made
Yeah,
a Space Invaders
yeah.
for that never finished
So,
the challenge.
Basic should be fast enough to do.
Oh, Pong, yeah.
Yeah,
a Pong
Could you
game.
make it so the scores are random or something?
Well, I could, but that's sort of.
Well, it makes it
I mean-
interesting then.
Well, the other thing to do is maybe try to make it a CoCo 1 and 2 one. I mean,
Oh,
I'm cheating using the CoCo 3 for the extra speed and the ability to change the palettes. I was going to do a graphical score counter, but using just normal text P mode 4, the numbers would have been too big. So I've decided to go for a text and then just changing the colors to black and white.
This would probably work on a Model 1, huh? I mean,
CoCo
TRS
what?
80.
No, you'd have to rewrite it for a TRS-8 even. But
Yeah, the resolution's different. The basics a bit different.
yeah,
too.
it's different and the character set's different. But this is for a CoCo 3. I just quickly slap it together. But that was Danielle O'Connor's request for a Pong game.
Yeah, because I
And,
remember we talked about this, Nick. We were trying to think of some Pong games, and I know there's been a bunch in some of the magazines and stuff, but the only one I really could
are a
remember
few.
was Ponk for
Yeah.
the CoCo 3.
There
And
are
it's
a
too
few,
fast.
but the giveaway with those was that it comes up on, most of those came up on a bright green background, you know. It looked like a CoCo game.
Yeah,
And
Ponk
he had
didn't.
a-
Ponk was a CoCo 3 game, but it's way too fast. The guy wrote an ML's project learning the CoCo 3, and it gets and the ball's gone, so it's almost
Well,
impossible
yeah.
to play.
And Danielle had a picture of Pong, so, and it was a black and white. It was like the traditional Pong. So I thought maybe she's going for a, you know, that classic black and white Pong look. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yep. The other thing you could
Anyway.
use, you could clone the MM1. They had a game called Gnop, Pong spelled backwards.
All
And that was done as an innovative way to play it. So basically, your paddle stays in the middle of the screen, but the whole screen moves around to
All
follow
right.
the ball.
Yeah, it was
Do
evil.
that in basic.
Hey, you played that one, Rick? Or
Yeah, I saw it at the fest. That was evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was a bit
So
of
anyway.
a different take.
That's my game news
Yeah.
at the moment.
It already looks better than Neutroid, so that's going good. Oh, by the way, I should mention here, it's also a reminder to Nick, in case he forgot.
Neutroid's good, yeah.
Actually, yeah, the new one is. I will have to grant you that. But the Amigos are having their International Computer Club meeting next week on Saturday at, I believe, 5 p.m. Eastern, I think it starts. Where they'll be going through a bunch of the presentations by various people. It'll be stuff for the Spectrum, the Amigo, and Nick's going to be on as well. And I'm assuming he'll be showing off the finalized version of Neutroid, so people can check that out that are on other platforms or multi-platform. I
Yeah.
haven't heard about it yet.
I will. I'll probably just try to put a video together so I don't take too long on the presentation. So now that the game's done, yeah, that's what I'll do this week.
Yeah, I'll be on there just as a panelist. I don't have anything new to announce, so not even
So
stuff.
does that mean I've got to send you money? So you say positive things about Neutroid?
No. Honestly, you did finally fix all the problems I had with Neutroid with the new one. So this is the first version of Neutroid since 1984 that you've made that actually is okay.
You know, I was thinking of how AI is going to change things in the future. You know, we're going to be talking about things and say, wasn't there a time when I mentioned something about blah, blah, blah? And then AI is going to go, yeah, here's the video right here.
And boy, did you screw it up.
Call you a liar.
That's basically just Google search now, isn't it?
Yeah, but we should have a little. Sorry.
Go ahead.
We should have a little bit of a discussion topic about AI. What the hell is it? Everyone says, whenever anyone sees anything that's computer generated nowadays, oh, that's AI. I think, hang on a sec.
Right.
We were doing that sort of crap back in the 80s. We called it a computer program. And everything nowadays is AI because it's done on a computer. I mean, is that anyway? I think that's a bigger.
AI is basically just using a huge data set that we couldn't handle before.
Right.
That's
I will maintain.
Yeah, but
I will maintain it's Eliza with more RAM.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
better search algorithms.
I'm seeing the word popping up for things which are not
It's all
that.
AI.
Right. Yeah, if it's on a computer, if it's drawn on a computer or calculated on a computer, it must be AI. Oh no, we're
it's
lose
worse.
our job.
It's cyber AI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and now
what's
it's
gonna happen-
plagiarizing artists and people's faces and all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
you're
it's,
going to say, I'd like to make a program. And then as soon as you finish that word program, it comes up in front of you. And it's exactly what you were thinking
well,
of.
Alan Huffman and a few other people actually had it say, write a program to do this in, CoCo Basic or Commodore Basic or whatever else. And it's not perfect, but it does give you a skeleton outline. But it's based on whatever it's trolled the web for to find other listings type thing. It's not.
And the problem is it thinks it's perfect. And it tells you it's perfect in every way. And it just isn't.
Yeah,
What happened to Cortana?
It's very fitting that we have the rise of the AI, considering we have the rise of artificial stupidity among humans.
Right.
It's kind of a balancing act. You got to keep it, both added up equals zero.
Did you notice when Sloopy was saying that part of his brain was missing?
Yeah, he was getting.
Cut him out. You're being
That's
edited,
AI.
Sloopy.
Sorry.
That must be AI.
It was perfect.
I will not be silenced.
They're changing the Matrix.
Oh no. That's AI.
Just on
That's
a personal note, like I would see things like on Facebook and eBay, and I misread it at first. It's like complete your listing, and I thought it said Al, and I wanted to know who Al was.
Yeah, it's AI, not AL.
Hey, good show.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, they're saying about actors being replaced by AI. Does that mean that someone says, "Oh, I'll type in an actor's name," and bang, there he goes. We've got Harrison Ford can play any character we just the computer can generate. The thing is it really that easy? I still think you need graphic designers to do the rendering and the design.
It's getting good enough that if you have enough pictures and clippages of these people, you can actually get it to do that kind of thing. It still in chunks looks a little fake, but some of it looks pretty real. And they can definitely make it take voice samples and make it say whatever you want from that person's voice.
So now you're going to take credit when you do
is it
something.
AI?
Is it I directed AI.
Is it a bank of graphics artists working with computers to?
Yeah, I think it's just
it's computer generated on
program.
its own. Some of them I've seen have been completely computer generated, but it needs a whole big sample set. You can't just pick one of us and have it, have us walking down some random street type thing because we don't have enough data.
A bunch of artists have to collect that data set and create all the software.
No, it rips it off from YouTube and still photos that are on the web. It just goes and trolls through and finds, pictures of Harrison Ford or video clips of Harrison Ford on YouTube or, memes that people have made.
AI did my intro. No, it didn't.
Wow.
They know it was Al that did your intro.
But you could it could do it, I'll bet.
So now we're left with you see a young man's face and he turns and walks away, and that's 80-year-old Harrison Ford walking away, and that's the only way you can really tell. All right? I mean,
You can tell we're
looking
running
at-
short this week, huh? With this.
well, I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at
know.
movie clips. The AI of his face is great, but that's all they did. It's just around to
Well,
here.
that's why I said you need a big enough data set. Like if you pull in all the digitized movies that are out there with Harrison Ford from when he was young to when he was old, you have full body shots of him. You have his body build. You can actually have AI
But
make a new
apparently
Harrison Ford
that's-
do something he's never done in his life.
But apparently that's more than Hollywood can do, because the work they're doing now is they fix his face and the rest of him's an 80-year-old guy with a bad voice.
Well, that's because
So,
there's a lot of legal issues right now because the actors are going, I don't want you to use my likeness to make an entirely new movie without me in it. I don't want that at all. And now they're trying to set the laws. If you're using somebody whose real existing likeness to make this, then they have to be paid. Whereas,
Right.
the other part of AI is they can generically mix like multiple faces from different people and create a new person that never existed before. And then you can do that without any copyright issues. And if they start going that route, I mean, literally they could make movies eventually. I don't think the technology is quite there yet, but they could make movies with newly generated people. It's a mixture of Harrison Ford and Benedict Cumberbatch and whoever
Pacino.
else. Yeah, whatever. And they can actually make it. They can make a simulated voice that's a combination of a couple of those and a simulated person model that's based on a couple of
Then
those.
what do you do at a book signing?
You don't. They just sit there and rake in money because it's just a computer program making a movie. You don't have to pay actors at all. You don't have to pay anything.
I would
That's-
rather see. I'm sorry.
But
I would rather see artificial faces with a real plot and story rather than what we have now, which are real people with them.
Yeah, well, you're probably gonna get his artificial
know?
faces with crap plots.
Right. We have animated cartoons or live action cartoons. What kind of movie do you want? We have both
There's a
kinds.
name for that. There's a name for that. It's called Disney.
Well, yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
some
have
of
both
these-
kinds.
Some of these games, when you first see them, you think you're looking at the screen and thinking, this is made up. This isn't real people or, real. It's a,
The
a
other way,
game.
yeah.
Yeah. It
It's
takes you a
memorized.
little bit though anymore to you're looking.
You know what's scary about all this? 1981, there was a movie with Albert Finney and Susan Day called Looker, and it was about recording people completely
Right.
and being able to recreate them on the computer because they don't look as attractive or appealing when they move. So they could generate perfect advertisements. And then they were killing the people off so they didn't have to pay them royalties.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep, that was
There you
pretty
go.
2 years ago.
predictive.
Don't give them
Yes.
ideas.
42 years ago. It's already
They
there.
already told us they're doing it.
Are we still on the air?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Not for much longer.
Is this us?
Okay.
The
So,
AI is
I'm
going to take
moving
us
on.
off the air
I
soon.
am an AI product.
Yeah, max headroom.
Yep.
Moving on.
Anyway, Mark, before I hit the regular news, because I do have a longer segment of that than I had for the game news, maybe we should do a quick commercial and then we'll come back.
Oh, there's
Oh,
more.
that wasn't the regular news.
Back to CoCo Nation.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Terry Steggy from Retro Tech Time and the Tandy Shack, and you're watching the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
From the makers of the Switcheroo. Wallaby Cable, Color Computer 3 Dual RGB Cable. Get yours today at cocoman.biz.
A whole new approach. Faster than ever. A window to a world of possibilities. Clear your expectations. Nation. Just hit clear.
Download EOU today at lcurtisboyle.com.
Hey there, I'm Ken from Canadian Retro Things. And I'm Amy from Taylor and Amy Show. Yeah, that was Amy from Taylor and Amy Show. And you're watching the CoCo Nation Show.
And back with the news, part 2.
Okay, so
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go on. No.
Okay. So the first part here is stuff you can pick up on the Internet Archive because it just got uploaded this past week. I'm not going to do direct links to it because it's a zip file in its current form, so I can't show you anything. I'm going to show you the actual photos themselves. So basically what happened here, on the TRS-80 Discord, a user named Shoeford14, which is actually a real name, Eddie Malfris, he met up with Jerry Heap, who's one of the engineers from Tandy back from like the 70s onwards. And if you guys watched the VCF from Texas, he was one of the speakers. But he got some documentation from Jerry Heap related to some very early CoCo related things, mostly video text at this point. And I'm going to show you some of the stuff that he actually got scans of that he's been putting up. And I think he's still got a few things left to go, but this is enough to give you kind of a taste of it. And if you want these actual files yourselves, you can go get them in the Internet Archive. If you go onto the show notes on our Discord, I've actually got the direct links to the zip files in question. So the first one here is the service manual for the actual or the video text console itself, with the label and stuff here. So this is, I don't think this has been on the archive before. Whoops, where's it going here?
Did this one come from Brian Weisler?
Nope. I don't think this one exists too often. At least, Brian can correct me if I'm wrong, but because you'll see here, it says preliminary service manual. So this is the one, not the official released one. This is, when they were designing it still.
You get the impression they stole that front panel from an ad or something with the floating hand there. That wasn't made for this manual. They just took it from.
Now, one thing I want to check for those of you who know about the video text terminal, and I never had one, so I'm not super familiar, but it says here contains 2 memory sections. The largest is the main RAM, which can be 4 or 16K. Did they ever sell the actual terminal with 2 different RAM sizes? I do not remember that. I thought they were all 4K. Like the video text cartridge obviously could take advantage of 4, 16, 32K of RAM in a CoCo, but I don't think the actual video text terminals did. So that changed between this preliminary version of the service manual and what actually got released, if I'm right. But does anybody here know? Or in the chat for that matter?
Well, I guess the video text came out before 1980. So before 1980, 16K would have cost a fair bit. So maybe there was a 4K, or they tried to have a 4K because that was more cost effective. 16K was like, a lot more money pre-1980.
Yeah, because I don't think they ever made a 16K model that I know of.
All right.
But so this preliminary service manual mentioned that was an option, but I honestly don't remember Tandy ever actually using that option. Just on the CoCo 1, it came out 4 or 16K.
Right.
But this is talking about the terminal with the built-in modem. So troubleshooting hints, video section talking about the VDG chip, some timing stuff. Still getting the hardware way above my head. Things to be aware of: adjusting the modem level. Cool. Board layouts. Like, it would be nice if, say, Terry Steger, some of the people that actually have video text terminals are on to talk about it a bit more, but I don't know if anybody on the panel right now actually has one. Ron, you don't have a video text terminal, do you?
No, I don't.
Complete parts list too. I don't know if that matches the actual sold one or not. So anyway, if you want that, that is now up in the Internet Archive. Like I said, if you go into the show notes on our Discord, you can grab the exact link on the Internet Archive, or you can search for video text service manual. And now I want to switch to this next chunk here is based on photographs that Jerry took of the video text terminal to submit it to the FCC for approval. So these are pretty nice photos, and these are taken from before it was actually officially released. I don't know if too much changed. I think the font might have changed on the label. I don't remember the label looking like this.
Your video hasn't. Yeah, thank you.
Because didn't this have the the Radio Shack 3 color stripes on the actual sold version? I mean, the light where the modem thing is the same, but
yeah, I've never seen the big O. Yeah, I've never seen the big O in video text before.
Okay, so that is a custom label then. So apparently you have to submit photographs like this. I've never dealt with FCC stuff, but it sounds like you have to submit these to there to get the official approval. And of course, it still has the holes for joysticks and stuff that never got used for the video text. So they were planning the CoCo at the same time, because otherwise, why would you have bothered making all this? So I think they were planning right off the bat. They were going to try to
exactly
make it one case mold for both, cover both bases.
The things they didn't use had embossed labels, and the ones they did use were stickers. The previous shot from here.
Yeah, and I did want to show this here too. Like this has a manufacture date of November 1980, which doesn't make sense because the video text came out in like February, March of 1980. CoCo came out in July, August type thing. But you'll notice there's a catalog number, no serial numbers. So I'm guessing they might have probably done this here because it says complies with the FCC rules. So I think this is kind of a mock-up label because they're submitting the FCC. They haven't got approval yet, so I guess they're just showing where the label will go type thing. There's the inside of the case, including the RF shielding. And you can see the wires going towards the modem part. This here is the SAM Synchronous Address Multiplexer Programming Guide. Now, from what I've read in some of the old Tandy Insider magazines and some other ones as well, Microcomputer News is one example. The SAM actually was produced by Motorola, but was co-designed with Tandy. Like Tandy wanted them to create the SAM to reduce the number of chips needed for the video text or for the CoCo for that matter. And that's the reason it was created. It was meant to reduce a bunch of chips to one chip. So this would have been kind of like the very early programming guide between Motorola and Tandy when they were actually designing the chip in the first place. And I don't think this has been publicly released before either.
Is the SAM used in any other computer that also used a 6847? Or was the CoCo the only unique one?
CoCo and the Dragon, as far as I know. Like the MC10 doesn't,
yeah,
the VC200 or VZ200 doesn't, some of the other VDG based ones don't.
No, so maybe that is right, yeah.
But you'll see here, like this is a Motorola schematic of a layout of it, and actually says tentative. So this is like, this might not have been final. So this is an early design stage type thing. So there's probably some good history in here if you want to see how that all worked out. There's a zoom up. I don't know who W.M. Peterson is, but
your guy.
There's the cover for the service menu again.
It's just as well they did that. If we didn't have
who
the
did
SAM,
you say released this?
The guy who actually released the scans of it is named Eddie Malfris. He's active in the Tier City Discord, but it was from Jerry Heap, was one of the original engineers of Tandy that worked on like from the Model 1 through the CoCo through Videotex. And I think he actually stayed right until Tandy quit making their own stuff. He got laid off, if I remember correctly, when Tandy switched over to just buying cell phones and stuff and selling those. So he stayed right on until the early 90s, I think, or mid 90s, or even later, maybe. Can't remember. You can check it out. He was interviewed on the VCF South, the one that was held in Texas, in Dallas recently. So that if you want to check it out, and he did talk about some of this history there. But he has these documents that he had the whole time. So he's now let them get scanned and now released to the world. So.
Well, if it wasn't for the SAM, we wouldn't have the semi-graphics 8 color modes.
No, and you wouldn't be able to move the screen around either.
Oh,
or double buffer or any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have much of anything because that's the whole trick between putting the video and the CPU on the same RAM at the same time.
Yeah, well,
You would just have an MC10.
Yeah, what takes its place on the MC10? Do they just have
Nothing. They
different-
can't do some of the things
Nothing.
we can do. You can't move the video screen. The MC10 has to start at the exact same address no matter what. You can't double
Yeah.
buffer on the MC10 because you can't move the pointer to where the video RAM is being accessed.
So what
So-
would it cost to put one in?
Well, you'd have to redesign the board.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Now, I do know Brendan, we covered last week, is actually doing an external circuit to allow some of these things in a limited extent. Like he's going to allow up to 16K video RAM or something, but you have to add hardware to get it to do that. So this is one of the main things that Tandy was directly involved when they made the CoCo a bit different than a straight 689/6847 machine that probably
Yeah.
would have happened without. So the reference design does have the SAM in it. So I'm guessing that Tandy and Motorola must have made a deal where this would not be proprietary to Tandy, even though them and Dragon are pretty well the only ones that used it that I know. But yeah, Nick's right. I mean, there's a lot of things in the CoCo we kind of take for granted. If they only had the 689, you only had the 6847 by itself, you wouldn't be getting any of this stuff. There'd be no semi-graphics 6 or 8, 12, 24 modes. You wouldn't be able to move
You would
video
have an
RAM on
MC10
512.
basically.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to move video RAM pointers around on 512 byte boundaries. Like none of that stuff would work.
The CoCo would have been just an MC10 with a better
CPU.
keyboard.
Yeah, and better keyboard. Yeah.
And CPU. Yeah.
Now the block diagram of the Videotex 2. Do I have that one kicking around? That one I think actually I can do a link on, so I'll switch. Stop my share here. Assuming Firefox doesn't crash. Loading. Maybe it'll make it.
Come on.
Maybe it won't.
Bit slow AI.
I don't think archive.org uses AI. There we go. Finally. Now I can show the screen. So this is an interesting one he scanned because he wasn't even sure himself what this was. The Videotex 2 terminal. So this is a block diagram. So you can see it's got the modem, power supply, keyboard, blah, blah, blah. But notice this 6805 CPU. Now that, if I remember, there was a 6805 mentioned. It's kind of like the 6803 and the MC10. It's a microcontroller style. So it's a 6800 style with some extra RAM on it and timers and all that kind of stuff. So there was plans on doing an updated one, apparently, a Videotex 2, but I don't think this ever went past this design phase here. But here they got 2K by 8 RAM, so I'm assuming it was going to come with 16K.
Static RAM, isn't it?
Sure. I have no idea.
Yeah, the 6116 is a static RAM.
Okay.
Okay.
But the 6805 was a bit of a surprise because obviously they had the 6809 in the original Videotex. So 6805, aside from getting some of the I/O and built-in RAM and stuff on the CPU and some of the timer interrupts, is actually a step back programming wise because it's more based on the 6800 model or 6801 model than it is on the 6809 model. So that would have been an interesting change. But as far as I know, this never actually got made. It was just designed.
That
Be like
didn't
a
have an
cost-reduced
external.
version.
Mark first, then Ron.
This would be like a cost-reduced version.
Oh yeah, maybe because with some of the extra stuff on the 6805 that might have eliminated some extra hardware they needed.
Well, with
True.
the static RAM, you don't need any refresh. So that's one way to get rid of the SAM.
Oh, right. It also been a little bit faster too, then, because you don't have to have the RAM refresh cycles snuck in.
Right.
So the clock's internal, not external, because it doesn't have a.
Well, right. This is cheap as cheap can be. Internal clock, nothing extra. That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
following there's a
Videotex
clock in
2.
here on the CPU, and it's coming from clock on the whatever a 1295 modulator is.
That'd be your RF modulator.
Which, okay, is feeding the CPU.
And there's an IRQ hooked up to the H sync. It looks like, if
Internal
I'm
clock.
understanding this right.
Oh, no, internal clock. So, yeah.
What's
Right,
the
that's-
MS signal?
Microsoft.
I'll scroll down, see if there's something. No. Okay. I don't know.
Appears to be a normal pin on the 6847 because it doesn't say a new model of 6847. So
Might be a sync of some sort.
yeah, I'm not familiar with the pinouts on the 6847, so I couldn't even guess.
But if this was really the whole thing, yeah, video text was just going to be a little postcard sized board. You know,
Kind
half
of on
of
the
a
same
CoCo
class of a
board.
Sinclair.
Right.
This would have been like the MC10 video text.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a little board. Maybe they put a nice keyboard in it and away it goes. But that's cool.
So
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
You wouldn't be able to buy a 6805 anywhere, would you?
Well, Motorola did sell them as part of this regular 6800 family at the
Right.
time. I don't know if you can get them now, but
Were they numbered in the sequence like 6800 and then 6801, 6802?
they were, but they didn't go in order. Like 6800 begat the 6801, which begat the 6803 and possibly 6802. And there's a 6805 and 6809 is kind of its own separate branch. And
I don't think there was a 4. At least I've never heard of one.
yeah, I don't think I've heard of it before either, or a 6 for that matter.
It,
They were probably designed and thought about, but didn't go to market.
Yep. The 6800, 6801, 6803, 6802, 6809, for sure I've seen those. I don't remember if there's any in between. Well, 6805, I guess, obviously, because I did find a reference to that chip
I can't
from Motorola itself.
I can't get rid of the ads, but yeah, 1, 3, 5.
On the 6847, the MS is pin 12.
What does MS stand for, though?
I'm looking that up. And just got the data sheet here. It's on 28 pages. Says it's inverted. That's a line above it.
Master signal? I have no idea what that stands for. Anyway, what could have been? I'm guessing that this never saw the light of day because this would have been a cost-reduced version of the video text, as several of you have mentioned here. But I think by the time this was being designed, I think that's when people figured out you can just use a computer for this. And if we're going to get people buying computers, they just add a modem to it so we can sell them a modem. Like, why would we want to make something cheaper just to hit the, Dow Jones and the CompuServe, et cetera? So I'm guessing basically they just figured, the computer market's going to take over doing telecommunications. We don't need a dedicated device to do it. And that's my guess. I don't know if you guys agree with that assessment or not, but. Anyway, a little bit of interesting history there, because that, as far as I know, was never released. I don't think it even made it to the prototyping stage.
Is there a bottom half to that page?
Nope, just the one page. That's all
Oh,
there is.
there.
That was a
Okay.
straight scan from Jerry Heap, the engineer himself. So I think it was more just he was kind of laying out some ideas, and he probably got nixed at that point. Okie dokie. Now I got to switch over to the regular news stuff. Okay, the screen should have switched over to a nice, comforting, relaxing green.
No, not yet.
Oh, what the heck happened there? Working now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Lots of random letters.
It should have worked the first time. I don't know what the heck happened there. Okay, so first up, CoCo Town, who's active in our Discord as well, did multiple videos this week. The first one he did here is using visualizations on the screen of how a quick sort works. He's done this before for the quick sort, or the selection sorter. Which one did he do last
I
week?
thought this was a word search puzzle.
It was a scrambled screen, right?
Yeah, well, it's basically he's writing the quick sort routine to do the sorting of this random pile of letters and stuff. But he actually does the visualization technique, which really explains how the algorithm works much better than saying swap elements and all this. You actually get to see. Well, actually, I'll fast forward a little bit so you can kind of see the grid. Assuming Firefox isn't trashing me here. So using the less than and greater than, how these pointers move around and how you have to keep track of different subsections as you go through, pushing them on the stack, etc.
Number that we're considering, and that cursor is also going to meander to the right, and at some point that cursor and GT are going to cross over, and when that happens we know we're done. The process of partitioning is going to divide this array up into 3 groups. The middle group will contain the pivot. So we're using the very first number as our pivot, and we have that in white.
And if you want to learn exactly how that works there, go check out his video. It's 13 minutes. I'm not going to play it all here, but I found this was one of the better explanations I've ever seen of how quicksort actually works versus the, here's paragraphs and paragraphs of the algorithm type thing, or looking at raw source if you want to actually visually understand how it works. I know a lot of people learn better with a visual thing, so this might actually be an easier way for you to understand it. And he covered the insertion sort. That's the one he covered previously. So this time he's covering the quicksort. And he's been doing a lot of sort related. So here he does recursive quicksort and assembly. Firefox, bugger off. Please skip this ad, you stupid thing. Come on, ad blocker. So anyway, what he does here is he actually goes through, like last week, he had a video that
Hello
showed.
and welcome. In that video, I ran and went over some code that sorts bytes in the screen buffer. And I talked mainly about the main loop, the glue code, and a lot about the timer. But I didn't really go over the quicksort algorithm and how that got coded up. So today, what I'd like to do is walk through that assembly code so you can see how the partitioning works and also how the recursion works. Before continuing, you will probably want to remind yourself about the quicksort algorithm and how that works. I have posted another video that shows how that works. In particular, we're doing the 3-way partitioning. So if you don't remember all the details, and who does, you might want to give that video a look before looking at this one, because this will make a lot more sense if you look at that one first. All right.
So anyway, this one goes through and actually kind of follows with a debugger. You can actually watch the sort actually working at the assembly language level. You can see what registers are getting changed, what pointers are getting changed, etc. So piece. So
you're cutting out.
And what just happened there? My mic's active too. Just having tremendous problems today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Right side.
Yeah, I just woke up Nick there. So anyway, if you want to really learn about quicksort, and it is one of the fastest sorts you can do, if you watch the video he did last week where he compared a bubble sort and insertion sort and a quicksort, it's like an order of magnitude faster. So it's much faster if you're doing big arrays of stuff that you got to sort. And then just as kind of a on the lark type thing, assembly code that sorts itself. So he pitted all 3 of the sorts he did in assembly language to sort its own code and see which ones would completely crash the machine, which ones might survive, even though obviously it's not going to work properly. So this is more of a fun video, as he promises is also going to be the last on sorting he's going to be doing. But it was kind of a silly idea. And actually, one of the sorts actually made it out to the point where it didn't crash the machine. You could actually hit a key after the supposed sort happened. Now, the sorts don't work, of course, because the code that actually tried to do the sort got sorted. So, it's just random opcodes and stuff sorted. But one of them actually survived enough that it actually got to the end, didn't do the proper program, but it actually got to the exit point clean. Well, not clean, but it got to the exit point and not lost control of the machine totally. So I'm not going to show you this video. If you want to see who won out of insertion sort, bubble sort, and quicksort, you're going to have to watch the video. Next up, Tier City Retro Programming did another quick little update on the Kung Fu game source I gave him that I did way back in '86. So we covered a bit last week. So he's added some extra little things. I'm not going to play the video here because it's fairly minor updates. He's got his little throwing star thing where the player can throw the throwing star. But he's added these little spinning yin-yang symbols, which I won't, like I said, I won't bother playing. But basically these 2 things here, that's at, looking at it edge on and it'll spin. So you can see the yin-yang symbols. So he just did that to give some background ambiance to the game. And he's got the player moving forward and backwards. I don't think he has it firing the throwing star in both directions yet, just one direction. But yeah, he made a fair bit of progress. Now I know, like me, he's now busy. He's off his vacation type stuff. So now he's going to be busy with work and everyday life stuff, same as I've been the last few weeks. So I haven't done any CoCo much related either. So, but I'm interested to see where he took this, because he's taking this in a completely different direction than I had planned back in '86. Next up, we have Ars Technica. This is actually an article that came up back in March, but I missed it somehow. So they interviewed this guy named Brian Green, I think his name was.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah, right down here. So he obviously collects retro computers. You can see a ton of them here in this workspace. So he's got his whole Apple corner with Apple IIIs and Macs and blah, blah, blah. And then he took other pictures, but you'll notice he's actually got a CoCo 3 with an Ed Snyder keyboard, a or a mini MPI, and a CoCo SDC, and he's got a CoCo 2 up on the shelf here too.
All because he listened to our show.
Sorry, was that Mark?
All because he listened to our show.
Go back one or so.
That one, or
no? It's over to the left side. So keep going left. Keep going. Nope. Top side of the room. Keep going. There we go. Just above the Mac.
Oh, dragon.
Oh, there's a dragon hanging out.
So he's got a pretty good collection. He's got a pretty good mix. He's got like pets. He's got Amigas. He's got Atari STs. He's got Macs, Apples, CoCos, multiple CoCos, Dragon. But he has a whole article here that basically interviewed him. And he also runs his own BBS, still running it after 31 years of running it. Of course, now it's done over the net instead of over phone lines, but still running it. If you want to check it out, it's particles.org.
It's got a dial-up number still.
Right?
Yeah.
Old school.
So it was kind of nice to see the CoCo was well represented with multiple ones of them, and one's actually set up as an active unit rather than on the shelf as a display unit. So normally when you see people that have a ton of these machines that aren't on our show type thing, you usually don't see the CoCo on a prominent display. It's kind of that's underneath the cupboard under the sink there, and I'll bring it out if somebody asks, type of thing. And this one is prominently, so I'm kind of curious. Maybe I'll have to try to get a hold of Brian Green, see what he's using his CoCo for. But he's obviously keeping up with modern stuff since he's got like Ed Snyder stuff all over the place. Keyboard, mini, CoCo SDC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Fred, you're actually on the show, I think. Are you still on?
Yep, still here. I'm here.
So you released, what version is this? 3.1B of the control panel.
Yeah, a little clarification there. So it's actually Control 3.1. There are two disk images that make up this release. One is 1A and the other one's 1B. So if you go to my post on Facebook, which there should be a link there, I think, you'll find there's two files I uploaded, Control 3.1A and Control 3.1B. You need both to install the program on your EOU hard disk image. So just copy all the I'll copy all the files over, and and there's a README file in there with further instructions on how to do it.
Okay. Now we are going to be releasing this with the 101 EOU, which once my work dies down enough, I can actually get it back on my CoCo for a length of time. I'll try to get it finished. Is this kind of out for testing then at this point, or are you pretty confident?
Well, I mean, I've been running it for a few months now, and I've only found one or two bugs in all that time. I did find a bug recently, a couple of weeks ago, which I quickly squashed, and so this image that I just, these two images I uploaded contain that fix. But prior to that, it had been like 2-3 months since I'd found any bugs at all. So I think it's pretty stable, but by all means, if anybody finds any additional bugs while they're using it, please let me know. I feel like it's pretty well bug free, but I just, I guess I'm a little paranoid that there may be some further ones out there. So that's kind of why I released it now, rather than waiting until EOU 1.1 releases. And well, that, and also I kind of promised at CoCo Fest that I would release this version, which has been delayed because I found a few bugs. So,
don't worry.
Here you go.
Don't worry. We'll find more.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
We'll find the rest of them.
We're all beta testers.
Yeah, I can help, but except Except I don't know what a bug is.
Oh well,
Yeah. Well, you should learn.
yeah, that's right.
That's
You
that
can
stuff that
never
other
have-
people code, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the source files are on there. I think they're on the second disk image. They're in their own separate folder. So because I know a couple people asked me about you know, the source, and it's in there. There's a separate folder for it all.
I do want to mention too, like basically, you know, EOU comes out once we get enough of a grab bag of different things done, plus some, you know, stuff that's more the core stuff of Nitrous 9. Like right now, the 101 release we're working on right now, I'm doing some patches to G Shell. I'm hunting down the bug that James found with some math stuff in Basic 09 on the 639 version only. So basically, I don't want to hold up people releasing their own stuff that runs under EOU, you know, waiting for me, especially if my schedule goes nuts like it has the last while. So please, everybody, if you've got other stuff, don't wait for us. Put it out now, and then we'll include it on the next one. So if somebody wants to just wait and get it all in one shot, they can. But you don't have to wait to install this or, you know, the latest version of DCC by Jeff, because he's done a lot of changes since, you know, Ease of Use 1.0 came out. So, you know, feel free to distribute, and we'll still include them on the next EOU release. But you don't have to wait for us. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I was trying to remember, because I haven't actually had a chance to look in a while. What all did you add on this new version compared to the 1.0 release?
There were, well, besides bug squashes, there were some features that were suggested to me. So, for example, when I was demoing this at CoCo Fest, someone pointed out that if you put in an invalid drive name when you're changing the list of drives that appear on the G Shell interface, it doesn't check to see if it's a valid drive name or not. So now it does. So there's that.
I think I found one too, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, I think you did. So let's see. I'm trying to think what else. There were some.
So is
bugs.
there any new features, or is it just bug fixes basically from the Ease of Use 1.0?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. New features. Mostly just bug fixes and improvements. That's about it. Yeah.
So Soupy in the chat is saying, I'm just waiting for the Neutroid Ease of Use edition, so I include that.
That's right.
The problem with that is twofold. One,
to
Nick would never touch Nitrous 9 for doing a game. He might do a Nick Basic 9 game as a lark sometime, but and two, I don't know if I'd allow it on there unless it's a decent version of Neutroid. So
I have a question for Fred.
Sure.
Is this the project that's holding up Andark 3?
Yes. But however, I'm pretty much done with control now. I have started recently focusing on Andark 3, and I made a tragic mistake. I accidentally overwrote this file that contained all this room graphics data and that set me back maybe about 6 months. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm writing a little drawing program, like custom drawing program, to try to speed up the process of creating, drawing, rendering the different rooms that make up the adventure. So that's what I'm doing right now. And once I'm done with that, and it's progressing pretty fast, then I should be able to use that drawing program to speed up the graphics creations for all the different rooms.
Make copies.
Yeah,
Right.
and
you learn to make backups now.
I usually do make backups. For some reason, this file I didn't back up. I don't know why. It's
And he is
yeah,
now wearing a hat
terrible
because
mistake.
he has in fact torn all his hair out. And
it wasn't a total loss because most of the data was contained in another program. But what I have to do is it's like a bunch of puzzle pieces. I have to reassemble the pieces. So
Just remember, Fred, winners ship.
And of course,
right.
my standard question is, are you going to make a Nitrous 9 version of it?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe it'll run under OS. What is it called? RSB? I don't know. You know that program that runs under OS 9 that
Yeah, the Radio
Apparently-
Shack Basic from
apparently can run some.
Yeah, as long as you don't have any semi-language in, and there might be a size limitation too, but yeah, basically it will run. If you have the
yeah,
8 screens and
there's no assembly language in there, so that's good. As far as the size, well, we'll see.
plus also there's the option. Jamie Cho is currently writing a batch script language thing that's going to translate regular BASIC to BASIC 09. You probably will have to do some hand tweaks, I'm guessing, but it should get the majority of the code over for you, and then you can fancy it up with like pop-up windows and scroll bars and whatever else you need.
Nice. Yeah, so it might run under RSB. I don't know. I haven't tested it, but the only thing that may cause it not to run under RSB is perhaps the size of the program, but we'll see.
Yeah. So if Jamie Cho gets his BASIC 9 converter out by then, I mean, BASIC 9 can actually run bigger programs than regular disk BASIC, so that might be an option for you to save a lot of time if you did want to try it. I'd be kind of curious if it would work.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be open to try it.
Cool.
Curtis, did you mention that you're going to fix the next version to work with the latest update for the STC?
Bill, since he's finally getting some free time again, once he recovers from his accident he had at work, is going to be talking with Darren again about that.
So they're going to.
So it's possible.
They're going to do an update. You won't have to.
Well, we know how to fix it on our end. We have to slow everything down.
Well, you don't want to do that, right?
No, I don't.
So it's going to come from the STC side.
Yeah, Darren's basically whatever he changed that caused it so that we're now running too fast for it, because we didn't change anything. Actually, the driver code that's being ran that is having the problem, Darren wrote himself several years ago. I haven't changed any of his CoCo STC code. The only thing we changed was we added the Gimme X where we do have to slow it down a bit, even for the old version of the firmware. But the new version of the release even has to be slower yet. Broke his own driver. So I'll let Bill, because I don't really understand some of the programming stuff they're talking about there for programming like a CPLD, etc. So Bill does.
When you say it's slow, is it actually visibly slower to the user, or just to you who that takes 2 cycles more to do something?
No, it's not like by cycles. It's like, if you're reading a 30K file, it might take a couple seconds longer, or maybe more than that. I haven't done a specific thing, but it's noticeable from the patch we did to get it to run. Everything loads slower.
It's a loading. It's not the execution speed.
No, we have to slow like the code that actually goes and tries to read, say, with a TFM off the STC controller to read a sector. You have to slow that down. You can't use a TFM. You have to disable the TFM entirely.
Right.
And you have to do like load A story, which is, twice as slow. I mean, there's a few programming tricks I could probably speed it up a bit, but we'll never match TFM speed. There's nothing on the 6809 or 639 that can match a TFM doing a memory copy speed-wise, not even close. Not even stack blasting can do that, and you can't do stack blasting on a fixed IO address. So that's the reason I would rather see him fix it so that, we can just leave the driver alone and just let it run at the speed it is. Because the whole point of Nitrous 9, I mean, it's in the name, Nitro. You want it to run faster, not slower.
Right.
I'm not calling it, Slogfest 09 or Turtle 09 or something like that. So,
yeah. Quick question Quick question.
Sorry.
Besides Facebook, is there any other place that anyone would recommend that I upload this version of Control to?
Discord and the Color Computer Archive.
Discord, Color Computer Archive. Okay. Now, where in Discord should I upload it?
Probably the Nitrous 9 EOU channel, or you can put in the general OS 9 Nitrous 9 channel. Okay. Or does it work with older versions of OS 9? I don't know if you tried.
Probably not, because I think there's some new syscalls that have been included in EOU that aren't in standard OS 9. That probably wouldn't work. Yeah.
Fred, are you going to make a video showing how to install these things?
Sure. Yeah.
Because that would do it.
Yeah. What that means is not until right now.
Yeah. There's, like I said, I tried to be really thorough in the README file that I included.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will.
Yeah. The nice thing about Control Panel, it's not a part of the OS itself. It's a program that runs under the OS. So you don't have to fiddle with boot files and quick gen and all this other kind of stuff is basically just
So it
copy the
just has
files
to
in the
be
right spot.
present in the list of programs that you're going to run, type of
Yeah,
thing.
there's executables that you need to copy to the CMDS directory. There's a few data files, a couple data files you need to copy to the sys directory, and that's it. I mean, there's a bunch of other files on there, but it's like source files and so on, which are not necessary for running the program.
Yeah.
Then why are they there?
So
Just
people that
people
want to
ask for
learn
it.
how it works and stuff, or want to try changing something, they can do that.
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
so inclined.
I had a couple of requests to include the source, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We include all the source for stuff on Nitrous 9 EOU releases themselves anyway. You can look at the current versions of G Shell, the operating system, Basic 9, all that source is there too.
Oh, you were asking before about if it works with standard OS 9. My original first version of Control 1.0, and I think maybe 2.0, which I think are out there still somewhere. Those I think would be compatible with standard OS 9. So maybe I can re-upload them so that
So one
can
day
more
in the
easily find 'em.
future, when Deskmate works with Nitrous 9, would the interface of the color stuff switch or work,
No.
inside of Okay.
No,
You knew
but
the
the
you knew what I
Deskmate's
was
self-contained. Deskmate's totally
Yeah.
self-contained. It doesn't call any of the standard multi-view stuff at all. It doesn't even. If I remember correctly, Deskmate was actually out before multi-view was out, so they didn't have it ready for them to use to program it in.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, I was trying to decide between Deskmate or OS 9, and I chose OS 9 because it seemed more flexible. You could, use whatever programs you wanted with it, where Deskmate had kind of like a fixed set or a fixed suite of apps.
Yeah, like you can't run a game from Deskmate.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Chibi Akumis is continued on with his 609 programming series. He's got part 2 video out, and this is where he talks about 609 extensions for doing shifts, compares, and logical operations. So this is like the OIM, EIM, TIM commands, and some others too, which are pretty unique to the 6309. I think some of those in-memory ones are actually on one of the other 6800s, the 0-5, or I can't remember which one specifically, but I remember the nomenclature was there before. Nomenclature, I should say. And he's got a part 3 already kind of on the way. So if you want to go through the part 2 here, which covers these, the next one's will be covering like TFMs and some of the other exciting stuff. Now, one thing I learned, which I did not realize, is that actually has text versions that kind of describe what his videos are about. And that is actually ahead of the videos. So he actually does have part 3 already in here that you can actually scroll down to and look. So this, I like the way he's got this all color coded and stuff. So it looks like a 1989 web page with garish colors all over the place. It looks like it was made on GeoCities or something. It's kind of retro in itself. I like that. Like here's lesson 1, getting started with 609. So he kind of goes through the stuff he covered in the first video we covered a couple of weeks ago. Here's lesson 2, the one I just talked about. But if you keep scrolling down, he's already got lesson 3. The text version is already on here, exactly what he's going to be covering. So if you want a sneak preview, you can actually jump in and take a look at that. And he's quite liking the CPU, I think. Some of the choices are a little bit odd, and I have to agree. There's a few bits that are a little bit strange, but yeah, he'll be covering like the hardware multiply and divides, bulk memory transfers, push W, pull W, bit test and set. This is for some of the bit manipulation operations, which we haven't used as much in Nitrous 9. There's a few specific ones that are kind of good because you can read a bit from one bit position into another bit position in a register and invert it at the same time, optionally, if you want to. Normally, these things take enough bytes and cycles, you probably wouldn't do that. But if you're reading from hardware, but you have to translate a bit position to something else for the operating system to use, then it becomes quite useful because you can do it in one command instead of having to do a load and mask shifted 3 or 4 times and then or it back into a register. It just becomes a single command. So it's useful for that type of thing. What was that?
Oh, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, you might be able to use it in your drivers. Now, there's some severe limitations on some of these bit manipulation things. Like it only works on the A, B, and CC registers. And I think it only supports direct page addressing mode. If I remember, some of them do. AM and OM you can do with anything like indexed, extended, indirect, direct page, whatever. But these bit manipulation ones at this level here, these are the ones that are basically just for direct page, if I remember correctly. So a bit more limiting, but you could reset the direct page to like a hardware IO address or something if you wanted to, depending on whether you're doing reading or write. Or if you want to just copy the byte you got from the controller into a direct page and then do all the manipulation from there, it might still be smaller and faster than doing it all manually, depending on how much shifting you have to do.
Because we're at an interesting time. At one time, you would just take a nice Atmel chip and do everything in your firmware and shove it to the CoCo pre-done. But those chips aren't around right now. So tricks like this might be.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind having it restricted to 6309 versus 6809, yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Sorry. Oops. Okay, I need to make some MC10 things, I guess.
Yeah. It's a good series. His 6-9 series is really good. He actually did series, for the Dragon, the CoCo, showing how to use the VDG. He's done some stuff on the Gimme as well. So he's covered quite a bit of stuff, and he's got his courses published, actual physical books. You can get a 2-part series on different CPUs, one which includes the 6809. And I think he used the Dragon and the CoCo samples on that one too, as well as the Vectrix. I think he's covered a little bit of too. So definitely knows his stuff. Okay, next one up. This is just a software portal page. If you're actually a paying customer of this, you'll be able to get this here. But this is basically an update from Eric Canales that he announced in our Discord. He's got another update to his 6dev09 assembler, cross-assembler. Build 18 is now available to people who have purchased it at this particular website here. The updates he listed are small bug fixes, fixed some activation issues, added a splash screen, added MAME 0.257 support, added new machines, carts, and ROMs in line with MAME 2.257, added RS-232 support, fixed window sizing on start, and install fonts when using the installer. So he's gradually progressing more and more. And I think he actually mentioned on the Discord channel devoted to his product here that there's some other changes done that are coming up soon too, from some reports he had from people.
I'd like to add the way you get into this is you support him through Patreon. There's a couple of different levels you can support at, and then you get access to the website and the downloads.
If you watch the Vintage Geek channel, you know that we love Radio Shack and we also love robots. And today we get to experiment with both. This is Roby Sr. and we're going to be talking about him right here on Vintage Geek.
So anyway, I'm not going to play the rest of the video, but this is Aaron from the Vintage Geek Museum in Ken, what was the name of the town he's in? It's in Tennessee.
Was it Knoxville?
Yes, I think it was. I just don't know why I blanked that. Anyway, he's a really cool guy, and he's got an actual museum you can actually go in and try stuff in. But we saw some of this stuff not operating. Now they're still working on fixing Roby Jr. There's a cassette deck interface in there where you can actually record programs. You can do this from the CoCo to give it commands to follow as this kind of a script. And they hadn't got the cassette player running at proper speed yet, so it can't read the tapes properly, but they're working on that. But you can remote control it, and they do go through some of the history of the robot and the interior, what it looks like and stuff. But I thought it was kind of cute because they actually have it delivering in its tray here, the CoCo version of Seamus. At the end of the video, he actually drives it around. He's trying to take it to the CoCo to go try it out. So I thought that was pretty cool. But it kind of has a couple of different CoCo and Radio Shack related things. So I think you guys would get a kick out of this one. Anyway, you can go check him out at the Vintage Geek on YouTube. Next up for our Spanish speakers out there, Spanish YouTube channel Retro Computer, which we have covered a couple times before. Did an episode here that's a little bit over 20 minutes covering the multi-pack interface. In this case, he shows it with the CoCo 2, and he mentions specifically for the CoCo 3. Now he shows it with running a mixture of just say having 4 game cards, so you just flip the switch between them if you want to just switch which game cartridge you want to play. He also shows, using it with some extra hardware like, floppy drives and the CoCo STC, et cetera, too. So you can turn on the Google Translate if you actually want to watch it. You can just turn on closed captioning, and then it should pick the automatic Spanish to English translation, or you might have to click the setting wheel and do that yourself. I'll just play a little tiny clip of it here.
Muy buenos días. Bienvenidos a nuestro canal RetroCom. Primero que todo, quiero darles las gracias a todos ustedes que han seguido.
Oh yeah, they also broke 1,000 subscribers, so
A sus suscripciones hemos llegado
I don't know if we had anything to do with that or not. I know I've plugged his channel a few times.
How'd they fix them quick?
tal vez con ese se alcanzarían y efectivamente así fue. Un voltaje para algunos.
So he brings out the old multi-pack, and he's got the middle-aged one, I guess. It's not the old original gray, but it's the full-size white.
Entonces por eso tiene su propia fuente de poder, por lo tanto también tiene su switch de encendido y de apagado. Tiene que está todo apagado y procedo a conectarla. Es tan sencillo como meter aquí y juntar la computadora con la interfaz y listo, ya quedó conectado. Ahora vamos a colocar los
And the closed captioning on this one here, actually, the translation works pretty good. I've seen it sometimes where it goes like quite often. It's hard to understand. This actually went through pretty well.
Vamos a colocar FaceMaker.
This is AI in action.
Iniciar la
Yeah.
computadora. Entonces voy a apagar
You're
todo.
absolutely right.
Apago acá la computadora. Apago
No, it's a
la
piece of
multipack.
software running that someone wrote.
Muy bien. Entonces funciona perfecto.
Lies, it's all Skynet.
Videos alrededor de
Yeah.
horas que le hacían falta a este.
There he talks about the upgrade for the CoCo 3.
Pero bueno. Y salió un tercer modelo. Ese tercer modelo es también en color blanco, igual.
And he talks about the third model of the multi-pack itself, which is the smaller, narrow Tandy branded one.
Únicamente para las CoCo 3. La CoCo 3 se distanció un poco de la CoCo 1 y de la CoCo 2.
There it's screwed up.
Also comes
Yeah,
Eso hacía que
because I just mentioned a CoCo
There you
13,
go.
which never happened.
el segundo modelo no fuesen compatibles con las CoCo 3.
Just like a
Este
Tesla
segundo
car
modelo,
driving into a
este
river.
primer modelo se puede modificar internamente cambiando
GPS
That's happened.
went through, yeah.
para que sea compatible
But that's when they
con
don't have
CoCo
time
3.
to spontaneously light on fire too. So
No, that's called a bug.
El modelo 3,
Right.
la modificación para usar con la CoCo 3.
it's a pretty good. I like the fact he's doing it now. At one point in the video here, he had mentioned, and I think he's from Colombia. I don't think he's from Brazil. I think he's from Colombia. But he mentioned that the CoCo was, I think, a second or third most popular machine there out of all the 8-bits at the time, which kind of surprised me. We've got a lot of information from the people in Brazil, and basically Brazil just had these very loose copyright laws and just cloned everything, so then no actual CoCos were really sold, or Spectrums or anything else for that matter, because they just cloned everything, including Apple's. I know Mark's talked about that in the past as well. But it sounds like they actually did get the actual Tandy Radio Shack CoCos, and it was one of the more popular 8-bits out of all the 8-bits. So that was kind of fascinating. So maybe he'll follow up a bit on that later in the future. I'd be kind of curious to see, how well it did versus some of the other machines at the time, like Ataris and Commodore, etc. Next up, we have Johan Coleman. He's working on an emulator for the Spectrum to emulate an MC10. And because of the way the Spectrum does its color of high-res graphics, where you can change the foreground and background color in every 8x8 cell, he's actually had to shrink the character. So the top here is showing a real MC10 with a VDG. And so what is it, an 8x12 pixel grid, I think the VDG uses? And he's had to reduce it to an 8x8 here. So obviously, if you had a lowercase one, it's going to cut off the bottoms, etc. And he's had to proportionally shrink the graphic blocks so they're much more square to get rid of the extra pixels, because you can only set the foreground and color on 8x8 pixel or attributes in 8x8 pixel grids. So you can't do like a half, the next 4 scan lines with a different color setting. So he's got to kind of crunch it down to get it to work, but it should basically emulate fine. It's just a slightly changed character set. You can see the difference there. So he kind of posted this up in the MC10 Facebook group just to show, how his progress has been working on getting the character set translated. I think it'll work pretty good. Since he proportionally changed the semi-graphics characters there, I think even the graphic stuff should look fairly decent. So kind of curious. Now, he's planning on running this on the Spectrum. Now, the Spectrum's a Z80 based machine, if I remember correctly. I think if he's running it on a real one, I can't imagine the speed being too good on that. But there is the Spectrum Next, which is kind of a modern version of the Spectrum that can really crank up the speed. because it's based on a FPGA or something. So that I think I'd see it running really well. And I guess, depending on how he does his emulation here, if he does like a basic interpreter where he's emulating basic and then translating it directly to native, code on the Spectrum itself, rather than instruction by instruction, then he might be able to keep the speed up a fairly decent amount. But interesting to see where this goes. There's a lot of Spectrum people that are on the Amiga's Discord channel, and I'm sure some of them will follow this a little bit too. And I'll interesting to see what their take of it is. Here's a reminder for the Dragon Meetup, 7th of 8th of October, Center for Computing History in Cambridge, which I already covered, so we'll skip by. Thanks to Karen here, because I actually accidentally wrote down, there's been 2 people doing a lot of hardware for the Dragon the last year or so. John Whitworth, who runs Dragon Plus Electronics, and Julian Brown has been doing these replacement keyboards and motherboards for some of the Dragon line. And I actually had the wrong name in my show notes, so he corrected that, and I corrected the show notes that are up on the Discord. So thanks, Karen. And basically, Julian is working on his new keyboard PCBs. Now, this is basically doing something similar to what Rick Euland did. If the membrane keyboard, the underside of the keyboard that actually has electronics on it gets wrecked, he makes a replacement that's an actual circuit board, not the Mylar, so it doesn't, kind of wear itself out too fast. I think if I remember the Dragon, did it have Mylar or was it actually real printed circuit board? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It had switches to start with.
Okay. But I have heard that there's been people that have had cracks go through them or whatever, so that they actually do get messed up. So he's doing one. He's been, playing with sizes to get it exactly right. He had a couple posts here. So it's kind of using a stacked board thing where he's got to do the connector here to connect the 2 together. But he's pretty well got it going at this point to do the full replacement. So if you do need to replace a Dragon keyboard for any reason, you will soon have an option to do it. With keys at least as good as the originals. And that's all there is for the news this week.
There's one other thing going on. I think tomorrow Terry Steggy gets married.
Is that tomorrow?
I think so.
I knew he was getting married. I did because he had mentioned he was going to be gone for a while on his honeymoon, but
yep.
That's why he's not on the show. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, who would think marriage would be important to get away from the show?
He should have got married on the show. That would have been cool.
Right?
Marriage is pretty important.
That would increase our ratings.
Yeah, but they could do it on a Wednesday.
Ron could have sent him the William Tell overture. They could have played that in instead of Here Comes the Bride, type thing. It'd been perfect.
Basically, what you're saying is that we all failed.
Yeah.
Well, I've been married 49 years yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
Not really. It really isn't.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Actually, Ron, what we are is all jealous that you have a wife that actually doesn't mind you doing this hobby. That's
right.
Yeah.
That allows you to have a garage full of stuff. Like, I don't think any of the rest of us can claim that.
Well, you should talk to her sometime.
Oh, is there some secrets hidden under that we don't know about?
Well, we're on the show. I just picked up this cassette recorder yesterday. What are you going to get rid of? And I go, my other one. He goes, what other one? How are you going to get rid of it? I don't know. Let me think about it.
When I first moved into my house like 6 years ago, I proposed that I set up the CoCo system in our bedroom, and my wife was like, "Oh no. And so I was banished to the basement. That's where my CoCo stuff is down.
But doesn't the basement have more room than the bedroom anyway? It's probably a plus.
Probably, yeah.
It's bad if you wake up in the morning and turn to your CoCo and say, "Hi, baby." Uh-oh.
That's happened on occasion. At least when the CoCo's running on an emulator on my laptop, then that could happen.
When I get Nitrous 9 to assemble and not have any bugs on the assembly, I might say that once or twice. I don't know.
Well, that was everything we had on the agenda for today.
Yep.
We still managed to bang out a 3.5 hour show.
One quick reminder, it's scheduled for September the 9th, I think it is. Yeah. I'm waiting. I just sent an email this morning, so I'm waiting for a confirmation on it. But we should have Mark and Charlie from portacoco.com on for an interview, and that's the people, of course, did the wireless CoCo stuff we saw at CoCo Fest. So both father and son should be on the show for an interview on September the 9th. I did get a message back from Doug Maston, who we'd originally scheduled for being on the show a little while ago, but he ended up having pretty major surgery. He's still in recovery. He's still going through rehab and stuff, but he's making progress. No setbacks. So he's hoping by October-ish that we should be able to go on, because he's going to be in physio for a while. But things are going well there, so that's good to hear. And I'm going to start reaching out. There was a bunch of other people I asked if they wanted to be interviewed, in the fall, and they all said, yeah, sure. And then I haven't heard anything back since. So I got to try to track some of these people down.
Okay. Ready for the outro?
Yep.
This concludes another episode of the CoCo Nation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCo Nation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCo Nation Show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCo Nation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCo Nation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server.
CoCo forever.
The next time Bruce Moore comes on the show, his son will probably be taller than him. He hasn't been on in a while, has he?
Well,
come on, bud. If you're watching.
Okay. Well, until next week.
Yep. See you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Charlesville.